Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Collegiate Chess League Fall 2024, brought to us by our sponsor, Susquehanna. I'm your host, Jules Gambit. This is my co-host, GM Benjamin Bach. How are you doing today, Ben?
Doing well today, Jules. It's great to be here with you again for the last week of the regular season.
That's right. I can't believe it's the last week of the regular season. I remember our first week here. It seems like time has just completely flown past. But that also means we have a lot of exciting matches for us today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had a lot of exciting matches in the past, but some more today. So, Jules, can you tell us a little bit more about the format?
Sure, so this is 4 versus 4 team chess. All boards will play each other. The time control is 5+2, and first to 8.5 points wins the match. As per always, 1 point for a win, half point for a draw. Tie breaks if the score is tied. We have not had tie breaks yet, but maybe today is our day.
Who knows? Yeah, no, it's an exciting format. And we have one match left in Division 1, Jules. So here we have the standings. As we can see, University of Texas at Rio Grande Valley is already guaranteed for a spot in the top two, in the semifinals. Then we have Mizzou currently in second place. But Jules, look at this. SRM is in third place with 5 wins, 1 loss. If they win today, they will overtake Columbia. And if we take a close look, the other team that is still playing today is Virginia. Virginia also needs a win. If they win, I think they will overtake Yale, Jules. So it's going to be super close.
This is going to be a really important match, especially for the playoffs. They really want to be able to take that spot so they can have maybe better pairings. And also, it's just great to go into one of these final matches feeling like you've been winning. So I know both teams are going to bring their A game today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like SRM should be the favorite. As we saw, they are third in the standings. They have been crushing it. Virginia, they started off really well, but they have been struggling a little bit throughout this season. So let's see how they are going to do. So, Jules, let's have a look at the D1 matches of this week.
Let's have a look. So, as we're going to see, we have Virginia versus SRM, and then some other matches that's already happened. Prague forfeited against Yale, which is really big points-wise for Yale, so they were automatically 8.5-0. Mizzou 9 versus SLU 7. That's quite I would say it's an upset because Mizzou is one of the favorites, but maybe Ben's channel points would be happy on that one. But they still can come back for the playoffs. And now then we have UT Rio Grande, which is 12.5 versus Athens 3.5. That is a huge point difference, Ben.
Absolutely, yeah. So UTR Rio Grande Valley really showing that they belong in the playoffs, and they really deserve their spot in the semifinals already. And like I said, SLU's loss, it was not only an upset, it was also upsetting and disappointing. But let's see how they will do in the playoffs. But yeah, today it's going to be a big match. We'll see whether SRM can make it into the semifinals right away and whether Virginia can make it into the playoffs. But Jules, I don't think it's going to be easy. Let's have a look at our lineup for today.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Virginia here, but we have FIDE Master Jason Moorfield again. Well, not against, but he's board 1, and board 1 for SRM is Hari Krishnan, then NM Owen McCoy, IM Srihari LR, NM Alex Schrager, who has some of the best facial expressions in the league. And board 3 for SRM is IM Manish. And then NM Jason Liu, board 4, IM Rahul, board 4. And there's something kind of interesting here. It seems that SRM has sat out 2 of their top players.
Yeah, which is quite surprising because they not only, if they win this match, they will make it into the top 2 for sure. But if they win with 9.5 points or more, they actually take the top spot in the league, which, also is a little bit favorable in terms of seeding. So I'm a little bit surprised that Pernash is not playing. And I think also someone else, I don't know who from the top of my head. Maybe Pernash is playing over the board, who knows? Anyway, the players are getting ready. And yeah, Jules, looking at these pairings, I feel like SRM has to be a big favorite. They have IMs on all the boards, so a very well-rounded team. For Virginia, Jason has been impressive in this season, but let's see if he can do it as well against SRM.
Well, Virginia has scored upsets before. This was the same mistake that another team, I believe it was Mizzou, made against Virginia, where they didn't bring some of their top players, and then all of a sudden they were hit with a loss. So, you cannot underestimate Virginia, and especially the Jasons.
Absolutely not. And as we see, we are off in the top left-hand corner. We see a B3 system from White. I think this is called the Larson's opening. And now White follows up with G3 and Bishop G2. This isn't quite called the Hippo. I mean, if White would have the knight on, if I would go E3 and put the other knight on E2 and then Bishop G2, then we could call of a hippo setup, but here not quite. So very interesting stuff, Jules.
Yeah, I've always seen this called like some sort of double fianchetto line. I usually see this when people are trying to avoid theory, but I guess it's also a pretty good weapon in blitz because, you really want to blast open the center, but you have to be patient with some of these more closed positions.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. White goes for a very easy setup. Now we see e4, and Jason drops his bishop back with bishop h7. And a3 by white is played to meet a4 with b4. Black can still go a4, b4, and then c5. That's often an idea. So let's see how this game is going to develop. And Jules, we're also up on the top right-hand corner. And there we also see a queenside fianchetto, b6, bishop b7. But this looks a little bit risky by Owen.
Yeah, this isn't quite a Queen's Indian's defense, is it?
No, absolutely no. I think this is the Owen's defense, played by Owen.
Owen's defense. Okay, look at that. I mean, if it's named after you, you kind of have to play it. Would you play Ben's defense even if it was a bad opening, just to like,
I don't know if there is a Ben's defense. But
there should be. You should make it.
Well, maybe if I invent like a good variation, I'll call it the Bach variation. And then I'll play it every single day of the week. Yeah, that's a better idea.
The Bach variation, yeah, you can. It could be like, I'm trying to think of one of the worst moves on the board, and you'll make it work, though. You'll make it work.
Is there a Jules variation or a Jules gambit by any chance?
I keep getting asked that, but I just created the name when I didn't even think I was going to be streaming. I'm like, I like gambits, but the kind of joke is that a Jules gambit is flagging a completely winning position because I do that a lot. But no, I need to come up with my own opening one day. The issue is so many openings. There's so many positions on the board. I believe maybe chat can correct me on this one, but there are as many possible positions on a chessboard as atoms in the observable universe. That I think is the saying. So it seems like most have been played.
Right. Yeah, I feel like pretty much every opening, every name has been taken already. So it's really tough. It's really tough to come with new names. And Jules, look at this. Also in the bottom right-hand corner, we also see a queenside fianchetto by Jason. And actually, we see Harakrishnan going for the same setup that Jason is employing with bishop f5, h6, and kind of going for a soft setup with black.
Well, I mean, I guess they all have the same mindset today. Maybe it's one of those days where you just kind of want to fianchetto.
Yeah, maybe they just want to avoid theory, just play something simple, get your pieces out, and keep all of the pieces on the board. And Alex has not started yet, so I'm a little bit surprised about that. I don't know what exactly is going on, but I assume that game should be getting underway any second now.
Yeah, they're probably just figuring something out there. You can see the look of concentration. But yeah, it seems that all the other boards we have kind of similar structures, similar setups. Are any of the boards looking pretty aggressive now, Ben? Or is it all kind of those closed, subtle positions?
It's all kind of subtle. I kind of like what Jason Moorfield is doing with the black piece against Rahul. We see he just took on a4, and I now like the move knight to c5, hitting the rook on a4. And if the rook moves, you can maybe follow up with a5, a4, and chip away at the white queenside. And I think Jason is going for that plan.
By the way, Cozy Joe, thank you so much for the bits and the partner wishes. I appreciate it. Yeah, it does look like a pretty good plan there. I feel like going for the queen side in a lot of these positions is usually the play, especially since the king side is so incredibly well defended. There really isn't much else to do.
Right. But knight a6, also a nice move by Jason, aiming to go knight to b4, hitting the rook on a2, and pressuring the pawn on c2. But yeah, Jules, it's a pretty exciting day in your Twitch streaming career. Maybe you can tell the viewers a little bit more about that.
It is my 2-year partner streaming anniversary. So I can't believe I've been doing this for 2 years. That is crazy. Super happy to be here for it as well. I only actually discovered that when I logged on to do this commentary. So I don't know, kind of a happy surprise there, Ben. When's your partner anniversary and how many years have you been streaming?
My partner anniversary, I think I got Twitch partner in like 2021. In like April or March. But I've been streaming since like May 2020. So like 4.5 years at this point. It's kind of crazy to think, yeah.
One of the early ones there.
Not quite. I mean, I got into it during COVID. But of course, like looking back, I kind of wish maybe I gotten into it before COVID, because then it would have been easier to be part of the wave, so to speak. But anyway, like I see the real OGs, like people like Chess Bra, I guess Botes, where you are currently still at, right? And Hikaru, I guess also Levy was there early on. I guess I see those as the OGs.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to give credit to all those people because, you know, it's easy to start chess streaming once it's already established and people know how to do it and people know there's an audience. But everyone who got in at the very beginning, they were just doing it out of the pure passion and love for chess because there really wasn't an audience at first. So it takes a lot of ingenuity there. Speaking of, I know this is your favorite part of the day, predict with channel points. Ben, the channel points are up on the Chess.com chat. If you want to predict who is going to win, I know I am going to be betting my points as well, even though I've had some bad luck. I think I've lost pretty much every prediction I've made.
All right, I just sent my channel points. So yeah, let's see what's going to happen. But this game is still underway. I really like Jason's chances here. He's up more than 2 minutes on the clock. Nice position, nice pressure on White's queen side. Because don't forget about the bishop on h7, because it's not always going to be as easy for her to go c3 or c4, as his pawn on d3 always becomes weak. So let's see how Jason will try to build up the pressure here.
And it's interesting to see, I don't think we've seen Rahul here before in SRM. In their matches, we've seen them several times on screen. And this is kind of an interesting format because it is blitz, 5+2, but most people are used to playing either 5-minute blitz or 3-minute blitz. So you can get kind of confused with this increment because it feels like rapid. It feels like you have more time than you do. You get down on time relying on that increment, and it really does make a difference. It's hard to play on a 2-second increment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I'd say this is more like slow blitz. The time control we often see is 3+2. That's the one we have at the World Blitz Championship or other big events. In Title 2s, they always have 3+1. So this is definitely a little bit slower. Yeah, like I said, a little bit in between blitz and rapid. But Jules, when you started out and actually still, like what time control do you usually play?
That's a great question because I've always been a 5-minute Andy, but I've started playing 3-minute on my phone. I completely lost a bunch of rating when I started doing that, but I'm getting better at it slowly. I feel like 3-minute is like the official blitz time, and you can't really get away with anything else nowadays. So I'm learning, but I'm definitely a longer time control player. I feel like there are a lot of people like that as well that I've started learning about that struggle sometimes with these fast time controls. I'm wondering if anyone with chat has that experience, but really just learning those patterns, getting those puzzles in has helped a lot with that 3-minute blitz.
Yeah,
I know you're a 3-minute yourself, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think when people start out, I think it's good to focus more on longer time controls, like 10-minute games or maybe 5-minute games if you want to do a little bit faster. Because in those games, you really learn all of the patterns. And I think when you're starting out, you still have to learn a lot of patterns. When you become more experienced, then it's more about pattern recognition, right? But if you don't know the patterns yet, you don't know what to look for. So yeah, I think therefore it's important to start with slower time controls.
For someone just absolutely starting, as a lot of chatters are, what do you think is the best advice for learning those patterns? Besides not losing pawns as in this game.
I think just doing a lot of puzzles. Just doing a lot of puzzles and maybe doing them in a structured manner. Because when you're just starting out, you might not even know what a fork is, right? So first you have to learn what a fork is. Then you have to spot it and then like train it. So yeah, I think doing puzzles in a very structured manner.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And something that's really helped me is actually watching games like this. When you see strong players, but not necessarily super GMs play, it really helps you to understand weaknesses. And I feel like sometimes the very, very strong players, while they're really entertaining to play and you can still learn a lot from them, their mistakes are way more subtle, like small pawn breaks. But here, especially in Blitz, with still strong players, you can kind of begin to understand why things go wrong. For example, in this position, why did things go wrong for Rahul here?
Well, Rahul allowed double isolated pawns on the d file, and he's down a pawn. Now, I'd say double pawns aren't always a problem in and of itself, but when they're doubled and isolated, they're usually pretty weak. And we talked about it before, that bishop on h7 is putting tremendous pressure on that pawn on d3. Jason is also up more than a minute on the clock, so he must win this game.
Yeah, it seems like he will be able to win this game. But honestly, it's pretty masterful how Jason's playing right now because all of the pieces are completely locked in. Basically, they're all stuck defending, as you said, this D pawn, and there's nothing they can really do about it. But did he just hang a pawn?
I think he did, because
Very
rook
tactic.
h4, I guess, was banking on 92, but I think there was still rook to c1. But Rahul, being low on time, missed it. Let's see if I can hold on, but it looks really tough.
Yeah, it seems like a difficult position, and that's another reason you don't want to get low on time with this time format. Even though you do have increments, we see people missing tactics all of the time.
Absolutely. So bishop g6. Oh, rook b1 doesn't look like a good move. Oh, wait, is there some knight c4 stuff? Because if you take, there's this. It feels like there was something for Jason, but I couldn't. Knight c4 again?
And the time is actually evening out a little bit. It's like 30 seconds to 6 seconds. We saw before he was down 2 minutes, but this is kind of evening out. This might give him a small chance, although 6 seconds is still quite a bit to be down. Maybe he'll find the tactics, and he does see a good way to free his pieces. Still has some issues on the board, but this is a lot better.
Yeah, now Rahul's completely back into this game. I think Jason, again, had the opportunity to go knight c4. Now the opportunity, he goes a little bit too late, because now white can just move the bishop. The rook on b3 is protected. Black is definitely still better due to these pawns on d4 and d3, but I feel like with correct play, Rahul should be able to hold, but he's got 12 seconds, so still very unpleasant.
Well, 12 seconds to 12 seconds now. It's completely even in time. His position, I do agree, is a little bit more difficult to defend, but this is the best chance he's gotten pretty much all game.
Absolutely. Okay, rook b4, he's defending very well. Maybe swing that knight around to the queen side. We say h4, h5, and knight to h6. So, some nice maneuvering here by Jason, but yeah, I still don't see quite how you're going to break through with black.
And you have to be careful not to hang some tactics here, but he seems to be playing very well, and the time is completely even now, which is exactly what he needs. Look at that focus, too.
Yeah, both of them are locked in. They only have seconds on the clock. Okay, Jason keeping the knights on the board. He wants to fight for a win. Well, let's see if he can do it.
I think it's definitely what he needs to do. Like, as the board won in Virginia, you cannot start out with a draw or a loss to the board 4. Otherwise, this match will be very difficult, especially since we do have results. Wow, it looks like Jason Liu from Virginia. Oh, okay. Jason Liu from Virginia lost to Hari Krishnan, which is as expected. We have Owen McCoy, Drew Manish here. So, yeah, and then the game started a little bit late, Alice Charger versus Ariel, so that is still in the works. But it does seem like Virginia's going to need to gain a point somewhere here to keep it even.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I like what Jason is doing a lot. He traded on h4, and now king f5 to g4 looks extremely scary for white. But yeah, actually, the game that Jason Liu lost, I think he was winning earlier on. So big turnaround there. But yeah, if Jason Moorfield, wait, king of4, if he wins this one, we could be looking at a close match.
Yeah, he absolutely needs to get more.
Yeah.
I need to work on my puns a little bit. Like, I feel like I'm from the school of Danya, you know? And I need to work on my puns a little. Okay, but we see he did take home the victory here, which means the score so far is even.
Yeah, so big win for Jason Moorfield. He's tying up the score. And so the game we see here is the one between... Oh, sorry, let's go to bird's eye view real quick. We see that there's still one more game in progress. The game between Alex Schauger and Srihari L, which is looking approximately even. Black has the bishop pair, but Black also has double pawns. So whoever wins that game, Jules, is going to take the lead in the match.
This is a very important game, which of course they do not know right now, but as always, when you're in a team format, you know that every single game is going to matter. But where exactly, how do you try for something? It seems like Alex is struggling a little bit in this position. It feels like his position personally has a lot of weaknesses. Like, as you said, rook check, king moves, and then all of a sudden that e-file, e2 could be an issue.
Yeah, and rook e8 looks very tempting here. Well, it's going to have to go king d1, and then something like bishop f1. It feels like there's got to be something for black. Alex just needs to move here. I mean, king d2 is not a move. I mean, king d2 allows like bishop f4 and bishop b2. So why is he thinking? Just king d1 and see what happens. King d1, only move. You gotta move.
Yeah, he has to keep up on time, especially in a position like this. You cannot be down on position and down on time. That is not what you want.
Bishop f4 and you lose the game on the spot. Bishop b2, GG.
Yeah, that is rough.
Look at Alex.
Look at his face. The facial expressions are insane here. He's like, what happened?
Yeah,
but it is not a bad start. Yeah.
Not a bad start, but they are down in the match. And if Virginia wants to stay in the season, I think they need to win this match. They
do. And so, Virginia, both boards won for Virginia, and SRM got their point. NMO and McCoy drew. Srihari L lost his match. NM Tracker is on 0 out of 0. Manish is 0.5 out of 1. NM Jason Liu 0 out of 1. I am Rahul. Well, perhaps that hasn't updated actually here. No, sorry, yeah. I am Srihari is 1 out of 1. Then I am Rahul is 0 out of 1. So far everyone performed as expected. Alex, however, does need to take home a point or a half point next match. And Virginia's going to have to make up that point somewhere. Do you think they can do it, Ben?
I don't know. It's going to be tough. SRM is the favorite, is the rating favorite. They take the lead in the match. It's usually pretty difficult to come back if you're facing rating favorites. I think again that game between Jason Liu and Harikrishnan was a big one. Had Jason Liu won that one, then they would have taken the match. Also, Alex losing felt perhaps a little bit unnecessary. But they have upset Mizzou at the very beginning of the season, so they are capable of it. So let's see what's going to happen in round number 2.
Yeah, we will see what has happened, what will happen in the future. But yeah, Virginia's going to have to bring their A game. They're going to need to gain an extra point, and getting a score like that against SRM will not be easy. SRM is one of the strongest teams as well.
Yeah, so we see in the next match that the board 1 and 2 of Virginia will have the white pieces against the board 3 and 4 for SRM. So I'm sure they will be looking to strike there. And then it's all about limiting the damage as much as possible on the bottom 2 boards for, let's see how Alex Trager and Jason Liu will do against Harikrishnan and Srihari.
And, it looks like Alex is sharing space with a player we saw last week, Matthew, for the best facial expressions of the season, as well as Shelov. There's a few people who have had some really entertaining facial expressions this season.
Yeah, but to be honest, Alex has been exciting to watch, but honestly, I think nobody can really compete with Pikas. That was just incredible what we saw last week.
Yeah, it is incredible what we saw. And thank you for the partner anniversary wishes. Appreciate it, WT. But yeah, it looks like the game has started, and we see an Italian. Hans would be proud. I started playing the Italian a little bit, and it's really interesting positions. I think it's kind of an underrated opening. A lot of people think it's pretty quiet, but there are some very aggressive lines. I think this is one of the more quiet lines, though, isn't it?
Yep. No, this is the Gyoko piano, the slow game. White keeping all of the pieces on the board, and White's arguing that the 9 on c6 is a little bit blocked in by the pawn on c3, which is controlling the d4 and b4 squares. And now we see rook to e1. White's often going to follow up with knight bd2 and knight f1. That's a very typical maneuver in the Italian. Manish keeping his options open. I'm a little bit surprised that he hasn't played d7, d6 yet, which is what Black usually does in these positions.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen soon. I don't know if my roommates are vacuuming. Give me 1 second.
That's what I was
wondering about. Hear that. Yeah.
Do you guys have some sort of... Do you guys have some sort of party yesterday or something, and they're cleaning up?
No, we are very calm here. We don't do much.
Okay, I see. Anyway,
but I guess we're very clean as well with the vacuuming. But I sent a message in the group, so hopefully they'll see it. It might be coming from outside, but I think this sounds like vacuuming. Very on and off vacuuming, though. Maybe we're not the best at cleaning in this household. But what is going on in these other boards?
Yes, so board number 2 has started as well between Owen and Rahul. Now we see Owen again going for a fianchetto on the king side this time. Again, keeping all of the pieces on the board. And on board number 3, we see a London system by Harikrishnan against Alex. Alex not looking too impressed. There also we see all of the pieces still on the board. So I feel like right now all 3 games that are on the way can go either way.
They definitely can, and I like these positions. I feel like I like them better than the Fianchetto lines, although it looks like we're going to get a double Fianchetto line as well in Srihari L's game there, board 4. But yeah, I really do enjoy these positions. I think we're going to see some pretty interesting things here. Where do you think Virginia could get their extra point if they're able to?
Let's see. I mean, I feel like maybe Jason Moorfield. I mean, he has been doing well throughout the season. He can maybe get a point there. Alex Schrager, perhaps. He did impress in the first match. And maybe Owen. So I think those 3 players generally have good chance. I feel like Jason has been struggling a little bit throughout the season. It was a bit of a pity to see him lose as well because he had a good position. But, he has been fighting. He's been fighting. And I'm sure that if he continues to play well, sooner or later, he is going to score points.
And C Tang asks, what school is SRM? They are a school located in Chennai, India. It's 52,000 students, and they were the 2024 ICCC champions. So they are a really strong school. They've been doing great this season, and they're definitely ones to beat. Virginia is also very strong, but they're definitely the clear underdogs in this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and you're right. It's really great to see that there are so many schools from so many different countries. I think the Collegiate Chess League started off with just US schools, and now we have schools from Athens, from Prague, so from India, so from a lot of continents. So it's great to see how it has grown to be such a big international competition.
I'm kind of wondering about this position here, what that knight is doing on h3.
Nothing.
Nothing? Is that just the... That's all? It's just doing nothing?
Yep. No, the knight's just misplaced. I mean, it's a little bit unfortunate for Jason when he played knight a3. There was an idea to go knight to b5 or maybe knight c2, but now it's kind of stuck there. So that is why usually white in the Italian goes for the typical knight bd2, knight f1, and knight g3, which is kind of what Manish has done with his knight. So I really like black's position. He has more space on the queen side, and it's going to be so difficult to bring that knight on a3 back in the game. Maybe right now you just go knight b1 to bring it back.
Yeah, knight b1 reroute. That is a huge reroute, but I guess maybe you have a little bit of time. It does look like the position is going to be broke open pretty soon, though. Like, one of those pawn breaks is probably going to happen. I'm just not sure which pawn break black would go for. Maybe the c5, is that one the correct pawn break, do you think? No, maybe not.
c5 can be
They just go up,
with
yeah.
d5, and it would hang this pawn. b4 can be an idea in some positions. I feel like d5 is going to be hard to achieve as it's going to hang e5. So let's see. I mean, I feel like Manish should try to do something before Jason is able to bring that knight back into the game.
Yeah, he's going to have to bring the knight back into the game, reroute some things. But yeah, maybe he's also struggling to find the correct pawn break too. Although it feels like there should be like something very clear, but it's not always clear in these positions. I personally find pawn breaks to be one of the most difficult parts of the game. Figure out when to break, how to break, what the best way to do that is. Especially in blitz, I feel like it can be kind of subtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% right about that. And here we see c4 by Jason creating a pawn break, hitting the pawn on b5. His bishop on b2 is protecting the d4 pawn. So a lot of tension arising now. If black goes b4, then I can just swing back to c2. So I like the fact that he managed to find a way to give that knight on a3 purpose, right? It's attacking the pawn on b5, and after b4 can swing back. So I think I like what Jason is doing here. I feel like he's starting to equalize now.
Yeah, he definitely is starting to equalize. The position's a little bit better. The knight can hop back into the game. And it looks like he'll take advantage of that. Yeah, I feel like he just kind of closed up the position a little bit there, which is good almost for Jason, who now has time to reroute their knight. He didn't want his knight there anyway. So it's like you're booting out the knight. You're almost giving him a tempo.
Right. So let's see what's going to happen here. Jason now has the advantage. Maybe like knight e3. Looks like a pretty nice plan to go to knight f5. c5, we were just talking about pawn breaks. Also an interesting move. If black takes on c5, you can take on e5. Wait, bishop c8 looks really passive. I'm kind of surprised that Manish played that.
Yeah, it seems a little bit... It does seem a little bit passive. It feels like maybe when you think you're in control of a position, you can move slowly, but he must know that this might not be like the best position he's had all game. So I am a little surprised on that one too.
All right, so c5. Interesting pawn break here by Jason. Let's see how Manish is going to respond. I don't like pawn takes d4, is then white can take on d6 and white at e5 afterwards. Okay, we see d takes e5, now d takes e5 and knight d7, putting a lot of pressure. Oh, but look at this, Jules. The computer is pointing out pawn to e6.
Pawn to e6.
Right, but knight e7 was played.
Well, it looks like now white has a lot of nice outposts should they want it. So that could only be good. And that is a great move. I love that you highlighted it. Knight f5, bishop takes, and all of a sudden they're in a pin. That looks pretty nice there. And the person with double pawns now is Manish.
Exactly, and this bishop on a7 is now blocked in by the pawn on c5. So yeah, knight f5, a very interesting idea. I think Manish is going to have to do something else. Either queen f6 or queen e6, I think, is going to have to be played here.
Yeah, and then maybe you can even keep your bishop pair. Gives you a little time. Yeah, that all looks pretty decent. I'm wondering where you would put the bishop, though, or would you choose to trade? What is your thoughts, Ben?
Good question. Yeah. I think I would keep the bishop on the board. Yeah, I would go bishop f1 here to keep controlling that square on c4. If black takes on f5 again, that's we don't win a piece after e takes f5, but at least our rook opens up. There's a lot of pressure on the knight on e5. I think white's doing pretty fine there. So black is going to have to do something else. What black can consider is a move like c4. It would give up the c-pawn, but at least after pawn takes, the bishop on a7 will be active again. But Jules, Jason now is getting down to 45 seconds. He really has to watch out not to fall too far behind.
Yeah, time pressure is one of the biggest threats in this type of match. He has to be very, very careful there, especially in a position like this where it could really swing either way. Do we want to take a look at bird's eye view, do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. No, let's have a look at bird's eye view, as there's a lot of developments in the other games. So board number 2 looking really sharp, but Owen seems to have good chances there, as he's also up 2 minutes on the clock. I feel like Alex should hold against Hari Krishnan with a 4 versus 3 endgame, but definitely still unpleasant for black. And Jason Liu just lost with the black pieces against Srihari L. So SRM now taking a 2-point lead in the match.
That is not what Virginia wants. They're going to need to make up these points on the board. They at least need to have an even score this round to really keep it competitive. But SRM is just such a tough team.
They are, and now Jason Moorfield blundered. He went for a piece sacrifice, but he blundered that black would go c4, and then c3, blocking the bishop on the long diagonal. So it's looking tough, Jules. Owen has to win, and then hopefully Alex can hold, but I don't know how easy it's going to be for Alex to hold. He's got a 3 versus 2 endgame, and now white managed to create a pretty nice imbalance.
Yeah, it does look like a pretty nice imbalance there. And I don't know, it's gonna be a little bit tough there, especially as Alex gets a little bit lower on time.
Alex
he just like hang.
Yeah, no, it's over. He's losing the second pawn.
That is rough. And I wonder if Hari Krishnan will see it, but he has time.
Yeah. Now rook c7, he takes on g6, then h5 is hanging. This should be a win for white. I mean, still some work to be done as black takes on f2. But Owen has won his game as well, so that cuts the deficit down to 1 point, but Jason has just completely lost her now. He's down to 6 seconds.
Down to 6 seconds. That is not what you want to be, and it looks like Virginia's going to be struggling this round.
Yeah, no, it looks like they are... I mean, if they lose 3-1, they will be down 3 points going in round number 3. Oh, Alex is still fighting. I mean, if he can hold a draw there, that gives them chances to stay in the match. I'd say if Hari Krishnan wins this one, I don't see it happening for Virginia.
Yeah, this is the moment that they're going to need to put in all their focus. And, Alex is a fighter. He's played some good games. I think Alex has had one of the, I won't say worst luck, because there isn't really a lot of luck in chess, although that's quite the debate. But he's definitely had a lot of winning positions this season that have not panned out.
All right, well, so we see that Manish has won his game against Jason Moorfield, so big win there for SRM. They're now taking it says 3 points. Oh, no, wait, 2-point lead. Is that correct? Yes. All right, so let's see. If Hare Krishna wins this one, it will be a 3-point lead. Can Alex hold? I mean, I honestly don't think so. Let's see.
Well, stranger things have happened, but Alex, yeah, he needs to hold. This is pretty much do or die for him, but this is not an easy position to hold. Two pawns that are already on the 6th rank. Oh gosh. Yeah, and he's scratching his head too. He's like, what exactly am I going to do here? And now there is really no way to stop that pawn. You can give a few checks, but it doesn't really matter. You'll just hide behind your own rook.
Yeah, no, great technique there by Hare Krishna, giving up the e-pawn, making sure that the king can move up to the g7 square. The h-pawn is simply now unstoppable. So it is going to be a 3-point lead for SRM. This is just completely over. Rook a8, rook g8, and there we have the resignation by Alex.
It is officially Jover. I agree. And as you see, Alex does not look happy with that. I don't know. This is going to be really hard for Virginia if they want to come back. This was not a good round for the team.
No, it was not. Yeah, so Alex looking a little bit confused, thinking how he perhaps should have saved that one. But yeah, this SRM team is strong. They have been showing it throughout this entire season. They're now taking a 3-point lead in the match, 5.5, 2.5, or yes, 5.5, 2.5. And so Jules, if they reach 9.5 points, they will actually finish first in the regular season. And that would help them a little bit in the playoffs. That might give them slightly better seeding.
Well, it looks like they'll probably be able to do it here because as we see, it is a 2.5 to 5.5 lead. If that is completely updated, yeah, that is really, really tough. A 3-point lead here. And it seems that SRM has gained the point on boards 1, 2. Their board 3 is 1.5 out of 2. Their board 4 still 0 out of 2, but they're just doing great, Ben.
They are doing great. Yeah, this team looks really tough to stop, especially if Rahul gets into shape as well. So Virginia is going to have to step it up. Jason is doing all right, Owen as well, but the boards 3 and 4, they need to get on the scoreboard to give them a chance.
They really do there. And by the way, hello everyone new joining us. Hello, Colonel. How are you all doing today? But yes, do you have a game review for us, Ben? Do you want to show us a cool game?
Absolutely, yeah. So Jules, let's have a look at the game between Hare Krishnan and Alex Strauger. So we had a very interesting rook endgame here. It was a double rook endgame with a 4 versus 3 majority for white on the king side. And in this position, Alex made a very interesting decision. I think what he should have done is just keep the pawn structure as is, maybe trade off one pair of rooks, but in this position, he went for the move f6, which created an imbalance in the structure. So Hare Krishnan took, we see a trade. And so now white has a passed e-pawn, which gives white slightly better chances to win than in the pawn structure we saw before. So rook c6 check, king f7, white stepped the king up, rook a4, and e4 check, king f4. And this is already where things are getting quite tricky. Black has to play a move like rook a2 or rook a1. But in this position, Alex played rook to h3, going after the h-pawn. But this simply allowed king to g5. And Black is losing his second pawn. The g-pawn is hanging. There's no good way to defend it. So Alex played a rook f3, there came a check, white took on g6, black took on f2, white took on h5. And again, if you're up 2 pawns in a rook endgame, it is usually winning. Often, you have chance to draw if you're down 1 pawn, but 2 pawns is often just too much. So Hare Krishna moved his rook to g5, and it's really instructive what he did here. Here he played e5, and we see this many times happening that he's sacrificing that e-pawn because of black takes. After the trade, white can move the king out of the way and roll out the red carpet for the h-pawn. Right, so black played king f7, king h6, rook e4, h5, slowly but surely moving up the board, rook e3, king h7, h6, step by step, he is making progress. And here, once again, e6, sacrificing that e-pawn, because after takes king g7, there's no way to stop the h-pawn from promoting. So very nice win there by Hare Krishnan, as SRM takes a 3-point lead in the match.
Great technique by Hare Krishnan. I think it will be really interesting to see what happens in this match. What do you think? Can Virginia come back?
No.
Nope. Well, we'll see. By the way, in the newest edition of Kids vs. Stars, Super GM Anish Giri will take on 4 Chess Kid legends in a simul. Can Anish defend against the formidable team of Alice Lee, Shreyas Royal, Andy Woodward, and Ryo Chen? Tune in on November 15th to find out and use !stars in chat to learn more. We will be back with more CCL action right after this.
Do you wish so that people wouldn't be calling you out on being only a woman FIDE master in your content?
Yes.
Yes, she's truthful.
Yeah. One of the comments that I get the most is, oh, Anna has 2 grandmaster parents, but she's only 2100 or whatever, right? I know that I've spent a lot of time on content and that I've chosen a different path, and I'm really happy that I have, but I think that there is deep down a little part of me that wishes that before I started streaming so much and everything, that I would have maybe studied a little bit more, maybe gone a little bit, tried a little bit more to get more rating. But it's also, I think it motivates me now because I know that I can still do it. I'm still young and I can still gain ratings. So I think it's something that I want and something that I will try to get. But it's also not my absolute biggest dream in the world. But it's just something, it would be nice to be higher rated, of course.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. One would think that an IM is enough, but I keep being called out as a commentator that I'm not a grandmaster. So it's never good enough, and no matter how much rating you get,
and
never enough.
The funny part is that, especially you as an IM, you're literally better than every single person watching. So it's really true that it's just never enough, and I think it's important to realize that you are extremely good at chess, and
you too.
Yeah, we're both better than most people that are watching this probably. So, but it's somehow never enough.
Students, did you know that you can get a discount on any Chess.com premium membership? If you're enrolled in a college, university, or high school in a participating country, you can get 50% off any yearly or monthly premium plan, diamond, platinum, or gold. That's unlimited game review, unlimited puzzles, unlimited bots, unlimited lessons, and no ads. All at 50% off. Go to chess.com/students and get your discount today.
Hello, welcome back to 2024 Collegiate Chess League, brought to us by our sponsor Susquehanna. I'm Jules Gambit. This is my co-host, Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. What do you think about the matches we've seen so far, Ben?
Yeah, it's looking really good for SRM. They have a 3-point lead in the match. They're the rating favorite, so it's looking tough for Virginia. It's going to be really difficult for them to make a comeback, but they need to. They need to win this match to make it to the playoffs.
Yes, and SRM needs to reach a certain amount of points to be able to overtake Columbia. I believe is it 9 or 9.5, Ben?
9.5 or more. Yep. Then
9.5.
Then they finish first in regular season. Yep.
And I think they might be able to do it here. So it's a very important match for both of the teams. By the way, Pixie, thank you so much for the sub and for the well wishes for partner. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Virginia's going to need some sort of miracle to come back. And we haven't seen something like that this season yet.
Yeah, no, we haven't really seen an amazing comeback from any team yet, as far as I remember. Maybe at some point, like in some match, like a comeback was in the works, but it didn't quite materialize. So let's see. We see Virginia here and SRM, the pairings for round number 3. Jason Moorfield playing with the black pieces against Srihari. I mean, hey, if Virginia wants a comeback, they have to hope that their board 1 can get some points on the scoreboard. Owen playing with the black pieces against Hari Krishnan. And then again, Alex and Jason Liu, they are still on 0 points. They will have the white pieces in round number 3. So they need to get on the scoreboard to give Virginia a chance.
They need to pretty much have a shutout this round, which, I mean, it's all possible. It all can be possible, especially now the boards are closer playing each other. So it's like board 1 versus board 2 instead of board 1 versus board 3. So perhaps some of these lower boards will have a chance to score some points.
Yeah, and we are off. So Srihari opens the game with 1 knight of 3. Let's see what Jason is going to do. Jason, I don't know if he realizes that the game has started, as he's thinking for 20 seconds before playing pawn to d5.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either, but I don't know. Maybe they're taking their time, but it does seem that Jason's really going to need a little bit of better time management after the last couple of rounds, which is actually kind of surprising because time management is something he's done pretty well in the past.
Yeah, no, he usually does well on time, like he's up on time or not too far behind. But in that last game, he was definitely too slow against Manish, and that definitely cost him. Anyway, here once again, we see Jason going for a Slav setup with d5, c6, bishop f5, and e6. And Srihari going for the double fianchetto. I feel like we've seen a lot of this match so far, Jules. And also, Hari Krishnan once again going for the London system against Owen.
You know, I think some of these slower openings might be the way to go against Virginia here because it does seem like SRM has the stronger players. And when you take some of the aggressive lines out of the openings, you really don't have as good of a chance. I think when there's some sort of rating imbalance, the best thing you can have is some sort of sharp aggressive opening where tactics are on the board all the time. The slow openings are pretty tough for the lower rated player.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, in slower games, it's more about maneuvering and slowly but surely outplaying your opponent, which is something that higher rated opponents are usually a little bit more experienced at, they're better at that. And that's where low rated players might struggle a little bit because they need to be patient. Anyway, we see some interesting moves here. Knight c5 by Srihari, offering the trade of knight for bishop. But if black takes, yes, white does get double pawns, but white also gets the bishop pair. So I think Jason should just play a move like queen c7, and that's what he does. And Jules, as we're talking, all of the other games have started off as well. So we see, let's first focus on this one, where we have seen a little bit of trades. I feel like it should be approximately even.
Absolutely. And while we're looking at this game, I want to share an awesome opportunity with you all thanks to our sponsors at Susquehanna. They're inviting current freshmen and sophomores to join their Susquehanna Discovery Days, where you'll explore what a career in quantitative trading and finance could be like. You may have heard this is a great industry to explore to utilize your gaming skills. Some Discovery Days are virtual and others are in person at their Philadelphia headquarters. Flights and accommodation provided if needed. !Discovery to apply. Really good opportunity. I would definitely check it out.
Yeah, no, highly recommend all of the freshmen and sophomores to check it out. Seems like a great opportunity. So yeah, I think they should definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish I had something like this in college. It is always great to check out all these different careers and options, especially if you do like gaming. It is true that a lot of people who play chess end up going into either finance or computer science, because I think it's very similar skill sets, that problem solving, creativity, determination. So That is all great. Speaking of determination, that is exactly what Jason Moorfield will need to get a point here. I mean, it's always hard being in a must-win situation when you're playing with the black pieces.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, a lot of pieces are still on the board, but black is a little bit passive. I feel like for both sides, it's not that easy to come up with a plan, which is perhaps why Strihari just pushed the pawn. He just played h4. He's like, all right, now it's your move. You can come up with a plan. And Jason is struggling. And to be honest, I also don't know what he should do. I mean, a move like b6 looks rather weakening. I don't know. I don't know. He goes knight d7 after some thought. Maybe now white just keeps the knight on the board with a move like knight d3 or knight e4.
When in doubt, h4. Then when more in doubt, h5. Always push that h-pawn. But yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to give yourself any double pawns. Knight will be rerouting a little bit. And I don't know, this is still anyone's game, and Jason is focusing. He is not going to be that down on time this time, hopefully, but I don't know. The time management has been really rough for him today.
He goes b5. Now the pawn on c6 becomes a little bit weak, so let's see how this is going to play out, but very double-edged decision there. All right, so now white could go c5 if he wants to keep the files a little bit close, but that is going to block a nice square on the d5 square. However, the moment you go knight f6, then you make it easier for white to go knight e5, so let's see what's going to happen. I feel like Strihari should get the advantage, but it feels like we're seeing some sort of wrestling, like they're going back and forth, slowly but surely trying to induce a weakness in the opponent's camp.
You just created an amazing sport, Ben. Are you ready? Chess wrestling. You've heard of chess boxing. Now there's chess wrestling. That would be amazing. No, do you see the vision?
Interesting. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a first chess wrestling tournament once. I know one of your roommates over there participated in chess boxing. Is that something you would want to do as well, chess boxing, or are you like, no, I'd rather watch?
Oh, I would totally do chess boxing. I'd be scared to do it against Andrea. I was like watching one of her music videos with her yesterday, and she had footage from her boxing days. I was seeing her do pull-ups. Like she was ripped. I don't know. That girl was very heavily trained there. So they really take it seriously. And I just learned apparently through my handy dandy earpiece that chess wrestling apparently has happened. It's a thing. I guess you can't invent anything nowadays.
Can invent a new opening, can invent a new sport. Everything has already been tried and tested. Wow, didn't know.
Should we go to bird's eye view here, take a look at what's happening in the games, especially since all these matches are must-win for Virginia?
Yeah, let's have a look at the bird's eye view and see what's happening in the other games. Wait, did Alex Schreiber just hang a knight? Why can Rahul not take on e4? Yeah, wait, are we going to see a reaction from Alex? I mean, he just hung a full knight.
The tilt is real, guys. The tilt is real.
Wait, he had a knight on g5 and he played knight e4, and Rahul just took it. But the reaction from him isn't even that extreme or anything. He just goes queen a4 and he's like, all right, nothing bad happened. But he's down a full piece. Jason Liu, in the meantime, is a little bit better with the white pieces in the bottom right-hand corner. We see that Hare Krishnan and Owen, slight advantage for Hare Krishnan. I don't see it happening for Virginia. I mean, if they lose this round, okay, if SRM gets 3 points this round, it would already be over.
Yeah, that is very, very true. And I mean, that will also mean SRM is on their way to that 9.5 points, which they really need. Both teams have a lot riding on this game.
Yeah, I think SRM could very easily do it. I mean, 9.5 points. That's only winning the match by 3 points, so that's not even like a super big score. I think they could very well do it and lock in that top spot in regular season. So let's see, where could... it just looks like Virginia is worse on all of the boards. Hare Krishnan a little bit better, Strihari a little bit better, Rahul is winning. Jason is better with white, though, so maybe Jason is the horse that Virginia can bet on.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't know. Virginia, it is really rough to come back with 3 points on round 3. That's pretty much unheard of so far. They'll really need to bring everything they can here. And this game is must win for both teams. So that's always the hard position to be in because, if you need a must win match, you do not want to be playing SRM, who is one of the top teams.
Absolutely. Yep. No, like I said, Virginia needs to win this match to make it to the playoffs. If they lose this one, they're out. Now, a good thing for Virginia is that it looks like Srihari just blundered here. He played d5, but Jason found the right response. He's now up a pawn. White cannot recapture on d5 in the top left-hand corner, as that would hang the bishop on c3. And it looks like Alex has already resigned. So SRM moves to 6.5 points. They only need 2 more to win the match.
They only need 2 more to win the match, 1 more to be ahead in the season. It looks like they'll be able to do it. They brought their A game. We were wondering why their top boards weren't playing, but it seems like they don't even need them so far. And Alex is shaking his head, down a night, down on life. Is that what they say? Is that a saying?
If you're down a night, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. And that's why he just resigned this one. Also, the problem for him was that his rook on a1 was hanging, Black was also hitting f2, so it's just getting a little bit too much. And let's see what's happening in the other boards. It seems the computer is saying Jason Liu is now a little bit worse against Manish. I don't know why, though. It seems like still we have a very similar position as to what we've had before on the board. Hari Krishnan is doing some nice work in his game against Owen. But Jason is better, so let's see if Virginia can hang on.
We'll see if they can hang on. I think it'll be really difficult. This might be where SRM takes home their match here in round 3. And we've seen it before. People have won in round 3. They still play the round 4 because tiebreak points are very important. But yeah, it looks like it might be a little bit difficult for Virginia here.
Srihari just went for an interesting piece sacrifice. He left the bishop on c3 hanging, but he took on d5 and now on e6. The knight on d7 is hanging, the pawn on f7 under attack as well. But I think Black can just go knight to f6, hitting the queen. If White takes, you recapture the king. And the king is... but that's also a good move, as the knight on d7 cannot be captured. I was going to hang the rook over here. Now maybe knight f6 looks pretty clean, as the queen is protecting it.
Yeah, you have to be careful. If the queen was not protecting it, the rook could just take, and because of that pin on the king, you wouldn't be able to take back with the pawn. So very important to keep that queen there in a way they can defend. Okay, he moves knight e5. Yeah, you're walking right into that pin there, but he doesn't see it.
Look what Srihari just missed. This is incredible. What White could have played is brilliant. Bishop to d5. If you take the queen, this is checkmate. Wow. So very tough move there by Srihari. It's understandable that he missed it, but again, I would have gone knight f6, looked a lot safer. Queen f5. Now, it feels like White should be winning, but there's still a lot of play left in this position.
I'm wondering what the best strategy is. Would it just be... Okay, kicking the queen makes a lot of sense. Giving yourself a little bit of space too, so you don't run into those types of tactics that we talked about earlier. Queen moves back. Now you get your bishop on that beautiful g7 square. You're happy. You're safe. Not a lot's going to happen to your king. And your king can always hide on that h7 square as well.
Yep. No, I like the setup of bishop g7 and king h7, but he goes knight f3 check instead. All right, let's see what White's going to do. I feel like the trade would make things too easy for Black. So king h1. The computer does not like that one, but I do like it from a practical perspective, as it's keeping a lot of tension in the position. And Jason now to 8 seconds.
Oh no, look at that time management, but luckily his opponent is that much higher on time. 11 to 8 seconds is not that much. If it were like a minute, then no matter how good his position would be, it would be very tough for him to win.
g4, 95 back. I think White's going to have to move the queen back again, and that's what he does. But now, something like queen c2 has to be winning for Black.
All right, you have that big threat, the fork. It's interesting he's just keeping the tension here, not trading the rooks. And there's a lot of pressure on this king side. And now, as we see, the king does hide on h7. Oh.
Uh-oh, that was...
Is there a prepet?
Lots of blunders from... And 1 second, he gets the move off with 0.7 seconds on the clock. What is going on?
This is scary. We're going to see the eval shift here. 2 seconds, he has to move. Oh no!
Check. King d8. Queen g5 looks winning, yeah. Everything
and you just lose a piece.
Oh
no, Jason! Wow. Srihari L was able to find those tactics so quickly. It just shows you. Jason played a great game. He found a lot of tactics, but when the time dwindles down, it's literally just the last person to blunder something. You have to keep your time, and that is so upsetting for Jason there. Yeah, it looks like SRM's going to take home the match.
Yeah, heartbreaking loss there for Jason. He was winning, but he got too long time and let it slip out of his fingers. Right, so we have one last game here between Owen and Hari Krishnan. Looks like a draw. That is kind of passive, though. He didn't have to move the knight back as h6 was not hanging anyway. Now knight g3 to f5. Maybe Hari Krishnan is going to win this one as well.
He might, and that'd be exactly what SRM needs. They're definitely, I have a good feeling about them getting the amount of points that they need as well. Reaching 9.5 seems very, very doable for them here, and they're just playing so solidly. This is a team, it's their first time in Div 1, and they've just been the team to beat.
Yeah, no, they've been playing some amazing chess. All right, so interesting game here between Hari Krishnan and Owen. White should not trade a g-pawn for the knight. That would give black a draw. So let's see how white can push that knight away. Owen hanging on. G6 can be met with knight f4. So let's see what's going to happen. Maybe king g6 to f5. It might look counterintuitive, but if you get your king to f5, then you're completely blocking that knight. Maybe not king g4 to f5 is the way to go.
Owen is sort of hanging on, but also he has 5 seconds on the clock.
Knight f3. Knight f3, and it's a draw. Oh, and wait. Now white has to fight for a draw, as black's going to give up the knight, take here, and have 2 pawns against the knight, and white's going to have to hold it.
Look at his face. He's so focused. He's got the Chess.com merch. That's how you know he's in it to win it. And now no matter what, by the way, for the people watching, this is in fact at worst a draw for black because he cannot win with a single knight on the board. So he is happy, and he might even be able to give up one of those final pawns for the knight and still promote, although it's gonna, with best play, it's not what's gonna happen.
It's still a little bit tricky. If that pawn on b6 was taken after a3, it wasn't clear how you were going to stop the pawns, but now this should be a very straightforward draw. I wonder, even if Owen loses on time, it might still be a draw because white only has a knight.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the rules on that too, because generally that is how it works. If you don't have enough pieces to win, you know, it's just going to be a draw. And now we see it. It is, in fact, a draw, which is a good result considering the time there. But still, SRM has the points they need to win the match in round 3. However, will they get to 9.5 points? That's what round 4 will show us. But I'd say the chances are pretty high for SRM here.
The chances are pretty high. They are leading 9-3, so they only need another half a point to get to those 9.5 points. I think they're going to try to finish on a high note and try to get a big score on the scoreboard as well in the last round. Yeah, they're just a really tough team to deal with. Look at this, Jules. Their board number 2 is going 3 out of 3. Board 1 and 3, 2.5 out of 3. And the worst performing player is 1 out of 3. And again, the problem for Virginia is just the fact that boards 3 and 4 are not able to get any points on the scoreboard. Owen doing well, 2 out of 3. Jason hanging in there, 1 out of 3. Could have been 2. But yeah, it's looking tough for Alex and Jason Liu.
Yeah, I mean, these players are just so strong. SRM is completely winning so far. They're going to need, again, another half point going into the next round to be able to be in the position. Would it put them in first or second, Ben? I believe it would put them in above Columbia, correct?
Yes, if SRM wins this one with more 9.5 points or more, they will climb to first place. So that would give them slightly favorable seeding for the playoffs.
Absolutely. And in board 4, each board will be playing their respective board. So that'll be a fun match for them. The board ones are going to fight out against each other. Jason, actually, I believe he was one of the only players for a while who had a perfect score, but he's been struggling this match. He'll be playing the board 1 from SRM. I am Hari Krishnan, who's just been doing great this season. Board 2, Owen McCoy against I am Srihari L. NM Alex Schrauger against I am Manish. And then NM Jason Liu against I am Rahul. Board 4 versus board 4. We'll see if Schrauger and Jason Liu will be able to get on the board here. I don't know. It's going to be rough, but we'll see if both teams will bring their A game.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, like you said, Jason started the season off really well. Actually, when they beat Mizzou, Jason went 4 out of 4, which was super impressive. He beat GM Antipov. He also beat, I think, another GM and maybe an IM. Really impressive showing by him there. I think also in some other matches he did well. This match he's struggling a little bit more, 1 out of 3. But he's showing that he can compete with these IMs and GMs, which is great to see.
Yeah, definitely being able to hold your own is very important, and he's been playing great. It's just been a few tough matches for Virginia here, but Virginia honestly has done great this season. They scored a great upset. They've been holding their own against some of these really strong teams. But this round 4 will, I think it will be very important for them to kind of set the pace on what to expect next season as well. Can you come back from kind of a tough match? So we'll see how they play. I find it always most difficult to be playing a good last round when you know the match is over. You know, that's not what's on the line. You just still have to play your best chess. When there aren't as many stakes, that's when people kind of falter a little bit.
Right. But some players, they might play better when there's no tension anymore. They can just relax. Anyway, here we have the bird's eye view. Alex is jamming as he's getting ready for the last round. We saw Jason just giving a thumbs up. So I think we're going to get underway any second now. And I think the board 1 in the top left-hand corner, it will be the game that will start first. And there we go. We see 1e4 by Jason. Let's see what Hare Krishnan is going to do.
E4 best by test. All right. I predict, I was going to say Sicilian, but no, we don't even get that.
Wow. This is quite a disrespect opening, don't you think? Like knight f6 and knight g8?
Yeah, it started like a Alekhine, and then all of a sudden, usually you move the knight to d5 or something, but he's just going back. Like he's just saying, I don't even need that extra tempo. I don't need to develop. I'm fine. I can still win. So they're having a little bit of fun here.
Right. So now we see a trade on e5. Let's see how Jason is going to recapture. He could take with the knight. If he takes with the pawn, then black just trades on d1, and it feels like black should be doing quite fine. So let's see what he is going to do. If you take with the knight, then black's going to take an e2. And if you take with the queen, then d4 hangs. So not an easy decision here, but he takes with the knight.
And let's talk a little bit about Virginia. Their location is in Charlottesville, Virginia. It was established in, I believe, 1819, if I'm reading that correctly. It's a little bit blurry for me. And they beat Mizzou week 1. And Mizzou is one of the strongest teams in the entire league. So that was quite the upset. They are a good team. And when they bring their A game, they can definitely challenge anyone in the league.
Right, and look at this. This is actually Virginia's last match of the season. Look at this. Hare Krishnan is blitzing all of this out, Jules. Let's have a look very quickly. So we saw here that eventually Jason decided to recapture with the knight. And now Hare Krishnan took the pawn on d4. Jason was banking on this move. Queen b5 check. Checking the king, attacking this. Hare Krishnan blitz out knight d7. White took, expecting queen takes, after which he can take on b7. But black instantly played queenside castles, attacking the knight. And the knight cannot move as you hang checkmate. So great stuff there. And I think we see a bit of a smile on Hare Krishnan's face as he, I'm sure he was aware of this trap.
Yeah, that is such a tactique there. I mean, this is still a very lifeful game. This game has a lot of life in it as well. I like what you're pointing out, a4. You're just going to want to push those a-pawns, ruin that structure. And then it's very sharp. I mean, they're definitely having fun with this match. You do not want a queen trade, though, if you're Jason.
No. Hare Krishnan, on the other hand, does want a queen trade. He is being attacked here. So quick lesson here for the chat. If you're being attacked, you want the queens to be off, and if you are attacking, you want the queens on the board because the queen often is your most important attacking piece. And there we go. Jason going a4, aiming to go a5 to try to open up files on the queen side.
Yeah, now you do have this knight outpost on b5, but however, they've temporarily stopped your pawns from progressing forward. And we see him taking advantage of that. Probably wants to play c3, b4 eventually and just completely break open that center. Eval aside, I think this could be a little bit dangerous for Hare Krishnan if he's not careful.
Absolutely. Another interesting idea here is knight d4 to c6. I'm interested to see what Hare Krishnan would do there. After knight d4, maybe black's going to have to go c5 to block everything. So let's see. And there we see Jason going knight d4. I think you shouldn't want to allow knight to c6. It looks pretty annoying.
Yeah, it does look pretty annoying there. I mean, this position could change pretty quickly. It's very, very sharp. It's the kind of positions they've avoided in the past in this match. But I guess now that they've already won, they're happy to play something a little bit more interesting. I'm surprised that the evaluation is still swinging a little bit towards black there because it does look like white could have a nice attack.
Yeah, I mean, black is still up a pawn, though, and there we see the move c5 by Harikrishnan, stopping knight c6, but now he's creating a very nice outpost for the white knight on the b5 square, so I'm sure that Jason is going to jump back. And I guess black is just going to have to continue their development with a move like bishop to e7.
And that's kind of an interesting move because usually you don't really want to push your pawns in front of your king, but that move stops b4 for the foreseeable future. And then it becomes a little bit difficult to break open this king side, even though it looks like maybe there should be vulnerabilities. You're probably going to want to sacrifice a pawn eventually, but it takes a little bit of work to prep that.
All right, so let's see what Jason is going to do. Bishop f4 check. Okay, nice move. If black takes, you recapture with the queen, and then you can take the pawn on f7. So I think Harikrishnan needs to move the king right away, and that's what he does. Maybe just bishop g3, keeping your bishop on that annoying diagonal. And I guess now black is going to crawl out of this position with moves like queen c6, maybe double the rooks on the d file. White definitely has compensation here, but it's hard to say whether it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a sharp, interesting position, so I'm glad they're giving us this. But it's also kind of psychologically difficult, right? Because as white here, you feel like you should have something. The king is a little bit vulnerable. You know, you have your attack. You feel like there should be something. So sometimes this is a position where people will overpush.
And well, I like what Harikrishnan is doing. He doesn't want to sit passive. He wants to create his own counterplay. He goes h5, aiming to go h4 and attack that bishop. So I played h3, creating a square for the bishop on h2. But now he played g5. f5, f4 can be an idea as well. g4 as well to try to open up files for the black pieces on the king side. So very double-edged fight on our hands here.
Do you ever feel like watching these blitz matches makes you want to play blitz, Ben?
Sometimes. Although, to be fair, I really enjoy the tournament. So I enjoy Title Tuesday. I feel like I enjoy the tournaments. Not like blitz, casual blitz so much in and of itself. But how's that for you, Jules? Like, do you enjoy tournaments more or just normal blitz, just let's say for rating?
Well, I definitely enjoy classical tournaments the most, but I have been enjoying blitz, and watching these always makes me want to play some blitz of my own. But tournaments are still the most rewarding for me. So if you like tournaments, do you miss playing in CCL?
Yes. It was always a lot of fun playing in the Collegiate Chess League, especially now seeing that the SLU team is struggling a little bit. It's tough to think that they have to do without me. But it's great to be here in the commentary booth as well. So don't worry.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm sure they will survive without you. It is tough. It is tough, but you gotta let them get their footing a little bit. And they have been doing well this season, but I believe last match was a little bit rough for them. They faced a loss, which SLU is pretty much the reigning champs for a pretty long time. So SLU is the team to beat. But they're going to be losing their title this year, it seems.
They could. Well, they are in the playoffs. That is the most important. Doesn't matter so much how you do in the regular season. If you win the playoffs, then it's all good. But yeah, they finished in 4th place with 4 wins and 3 losses. So not a super convincing campaign so far this season. And yeah, they lost to Mizzou 9-7. So it's not a super big score to lose by. I mean, it shows that with a little bit more luck, things could have also gone their way. And again, in the playoffs, you just need a little bit of luck to win it all. So they still very well could. I think it's really going to be between SRM, Mizzou, UTRGV, and SLU. One of those 4 teams is going to win the championship.
That sounds Mizzouable. Okay, I'm putting myself on a timeout. These puns have gotten worse and worse. Like, I started out with some good puns. It will never get better than Checkmate for Nicolas Checa. And after that, it's just been downhill from there. There's nothing I can do.
Don't worry. You'll get there eventually.
Well, we'll learn. It's part of the process, just as these players are learning in the board, as commentators are learning as well. Is there... Okay, wow, that's a very interesting move. It seems like you just allow completely blasting open the center, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand f3 at all. I mean, White's getting completely crushed here. I mean, everything rook g1, either rook or rook d. Yeah, Jason is just completely lost. I don't understand the move f3. So looks like Harikrishnan is going to win this game. So that's a big win for SRM. They will reach 10 points with that one, which should give them the top spot in regular season.
Yeah, and you usually don't want to meet any sort of pawn-based attack by moving one of your pawns forward when they can take, because it just completely destroys the center. Yeah, it looks like SRM will get those 9.5 points that they need. Jason does not look happy. Should we go to bird's eye
No.
view?
Yeah, let's go to bird's eye view. It looks like black is going to win this one, which will give Hare Krishna the board points that they need. So yeah, let's have a look at the other games. Owen doing well with the white pieces against Srihari. Owen's been doing a good job. He's 2 out of 3. He's better here with the white pieces. I mean, he's going to win or a draw, but he's definitely not going to lose. Then we have Alex. Alex is in a very tough position there. Wow, look at that knight on f5, the bishop on a1, queen g5 coming as well. I think black is just simply busted there. Jason Liu doing well in the last round, by the way. So let's hope for Jason he can finish on a high note.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some pretty good positions here and has struggled to convert, so this is going to be pretty important for him to be able to convert this, but I like his position. It looks nice, the pawns are coming, he has a good structure. This is pretty much what you want. The king, although it feels like it shouldn't be safe when you're pushing pawns, that bishop on g7 is usually exactly what you need to protect the king.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Black king is still perfectly safe there on g8. And by the way, we see that SRM has already won 2 games. Hare Krishna checkmated Jason, and Alex got checkmated by Manish. So SRM reaching 11 points, and looks like they will be the winners of our regular season. Let's see if Virginia can finish on a high note. Owen is doing well with the white pieces. Jason Liu is winning with the black pieces. Is there a win for Jason? I mean, oh wow, f4. Look at that, blasting open the king side. G takes f4, queen takes h4. I think white's in big trouble.
And Jason's got to be happy there to get on the board if he's able to win this. And yes, they are the winners of the regular season. That is awesome. There's still playoffs, which they have to contend to, but this is a great showing for SRM. First time Div 1, first time being pretty much streamed for CCL like this. So they've got to be pretty happy with this showing.
Yeah, so let's see how Jason will try to finish this one off. It's not over yet. 96, tricky move by Rahul, forking both the rooks and the bishop on b7. So let's see. It feels like there's got to be something for Jason. I mean, maybe like bishop takes d4. If you recapture e3, looks crushing. I mean, something like that. He takes an e1. Okay, if white recaptures with the queen, I mean, there's got to be something. Let's see what he comes up with.
Yeah, that first check looks good. Maybe you could rook lift. Oh.
Right. Rook d8. Okay, he's hanging b7, but then he can take on d4. All right. By the way, we don't have Jason in Jason's camera, but he is still playing some good chess. So let's see how he will try to finish this one off. I mean, again, he's 0 out of 3. It's not been an easy season for him, so I'll be really happy for him if he can get a win in this one.
And also, if you're able to have that quote-unquote trade, it's not quite a trade, you take with the rook and take back, maybe you could even push e3. I don't know. It does look like this position is just something that Rahul cannot stop. Okay, takes, rook takes, as we talked about, bishop takes. And now every single thing is weak.
Rook d2. I mean, e3 is very tempting, but after takes... Well, you can do this. You can do this if you want to. Let's see if he's going to go for it. Yeah, actually, that looks completely crushing. e3, bishop c3 as well. Also a good move. Pinning the rook to the queen. This has to be a win for Jason.
Yeah, that e3 move seemed very interesting. Definitely something you need to calculate, but he does have the time. I mean, it's 30 seconds, but his opponent also has 30 seconds, so I guess he could take a second in this kind of position.
Wait, knight takes e8. He's allowing white to stay in this game. So here's the thing. If you have an opportunity to finish it off, you should do so to make sure that your opponent... Oh, wow. Queen takes e4. Great find by white. Maybe Rahul can still save this one. No, I think he had to trade the queens there.
That makes sense.
I don't know. This is anyone's game now.
This is tough. Not only is it anyone's game, but when you come back from a completely winning position and you have to all of a sudden hold a draw, that is a really difficult shift to happen, and a lot of people just can't do it.
Yeah, looking tough. So check 96. Now I think Jason has to make a draw at queen c1, queen g5. Just make the draw. Just take the draw. Just admit it, you messed up. It's okay. Okay.
Still trying to keep himself in the game here. I mean, yeah, I don't love this now, especially when you're the one low on time. When your opponent has a knight, all of a sudden it becomes pretty difficult for you to keep track of all the potential forks. So I do think having a knight favors the person when it's a low time situation, which we're seeing here.
Right, but it still feels like black should comfortably draw this. The h-pawn very strong, bishop g3. Yes, white stopping the pawn. There's no way for white to make progress, so just sit, just move. Yeah.
All right, and we're probably going to see a draw here, which honestly, Jason gets on the board. He was probably not happy with that because he was completely winning, played a really good game, but stuff like that happens.
Yep, no, it happens. So yeah, king c2. Okay, he's still going for the win. Knight f4, be careful though. Should check, but king a3. King a3, only move.
I see someone in chat saying, I need to learn chess. Well, this is definitely a way to do it. I mean, it is a tough game, but as we're seeing here, there's a lot of subtleties to it. And Jason is playing pretty well. The two Jasons have been doing very, very well this season. So, you know, I'm glad that they can kind of at least try to end it on a decent note. But SRM has just been completely dominating this match.
Wait, we just saw a blunder there by white. I think black had the opportunity to go h3, but he missed it. Anyway, let's see what's going on now. Now it's still
h3.
Just don't get yourself checkmated somehow.
I wonder if he sees that now. And yeah, you could always chase that knight and you're pretty happy, but oh gosh.
This is, by the way, officially the last game of the match. SRM reached 11.5 points, probably 12. It's going to be for them, which is more than they needed from this one.
Yeah, way more than they needed there. They've been playing great. We were kind of wondering why the top two boards weren't sitting in, but it seems like they're doing just fine. And we see a draw. It will be 12-4. Yeah, I mean, I know that was not the showing that Virginia wanted, but SRM absolutely dominating. They've been doing amazing this season. They are the winners of the regular season. They'll still have to have a good showing in the playoffs, but this is a great sign for the team.
Yeah, an amazing job by SRM. And keep in mind, everybody, it's actually 2 a.m. for them. So really impressive stuff as they win this match 12-4. Wow.
That is quite the time zone change. And looking at the performances, Jason struggled this match. 1 out of 4. Hari Krishnan did great with 3.5 out of 4. And Owen did 2.5 out of 4, which is pretty good for a board 2. SRM's board 2 killed it with 3.5 out of 4. Alex struggled 0 out of 4. The board 3 of SRM also killed it 3.5 out of 4. And I'm Jason Liu 0.5 out of 4. I am Rahul 1.5 out of 4. For a total score of SRM 12, Virginia 4. Do you have a game you want to show us?
Yeah, I really want to have a look at the game between Jason Moorfield and Hari Krishnan, the game that we had a look at the beginning of this match. So we saw a very interesting opening. This game started off with e4, knight f6, e5, and knight g8. So the Alekhine with knight g8. So d4, d6. This is not an opening I recommend, but look at what Hari Krishnan did here. Knight f3, bishop g4, bishop e2. And here black took on e5, setting some traps in the position. White recaptured with a knight. Now black took on e2 and took on d4. So white's down a pawn here. Perhaps white should continue with a move like castles and just play for compensation. But Jason Moorfield gave a check. And what is there not to like? He gives a check to the king, also taking b7. But Hari Krishnan, I'm pretty sure he was aware of all of the intricacies of this position. He played knight d7 instantly. Taking b7, black takes here with a check. So Jason took on d7, hoping that black would recapture with the queen. Then he can take on b7. But instead, look at this. Hari Krishnan played queenside castles, attacking the knight on d7. The knight cannot move. That would allow a checkmate on d1 for the black queen. So instead, he just castled. Now black took the pawn, and black took the knight, and black was up a pawn. So here, white had pretty good compensation. White brought their pieces into the game. Black did the same job. White trying to open up some files. The knight tried to jump into b5. So again, white had some pretty nice compensation, but here I really like what Hari Krishnan did. Instead of sitting passively, he created his own counterplay with h5, trying to trap the bishop. White played h3, g5, trying to push more pawns on the queen side, king side, and open up files on that side of the board. Here queen c6, and f5, gaining more space. Some nice pawn pushes over here, g4 perhaps, but h4 also good. And now g4 opening up a lot of files. This king will not be safe for long. And here, yeah, Jason just had to play a move like rook d3 to keep the game going, but instead he played pawn to f3. And this just allowed way too many opportunities for black. Black traded on f3, now played 93 check, took the rook on d1. White's down the exchange and a pawn, and his king is wide open. So it was very clear here that the game wouldn't last long. Queen e7, a check on d2, and rook f1 checkmate. Great game here by Hare Krishnan. Great match by him and his team as SRM wins 12-4 and finishes in first place in the regular season.
Thank you for showing us, Ben. That was an awesome game. And honestly, we have another really interesting match coming up. We are going to see UCLA versus Illinois, so stay tuned. I think it'll be really, really exciting. By the way, in the newest edition of Kids vs. Stars, Super GM Anish Giri will take on 4 chess kid legends in a simul. Can Anish defend against the formidable team of Alice Lee, Shreyas Royale, Andy Woodward, and Ryo Chen? Tune in on November 15th to find out and use !stars in chat to learn more. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have a match you don't want to miss. See you after the break.
Baseball player who's a 6-time All-Star, damn right he is, and National League MVP. And Joey Votto has been created in a lab to destroy beginner and intermediate players. Can I defeat the baseball legend? Nope. He is going to do it, even if I attack his rook. That was actually not a bad idea. Look at this. The Joey Votto playing well. What's funny is Joey Votto is pesky, resourceful, tough, much like he was on the field. Ooh, he says, goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been the one. You have been the one for me. I think Joey's talking to me. He's talking trash now with the king being active, but doesn't matter if the king's active when we're in an endgame down a queen. We're going to bring it to a close. Shout out to Joey Votto. Seriously, congratulations on an incredible career, my friend, and best of luck in retirement playing chess.
There's something about the suit that channels revelation. It channels...
You ever get that moment?
Yeah.
You're a different person inside this thing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know?
I do things in this suit I would never do as just myself.
Totally.
Some of those things I can talk about. Some of them I can't.
My name is Rob. I'm from Orem, and I started the BYU Chess Club in the renaissance of chess. I love doing content on Instagram, so I started putting out some more content there, and Joe Lee, who is on the College Ambassador program,
shout out to Joe.
He reached out to me through Instagram. He's like, hey, do you want to be a Chess.com College Ambassador? I was like,
You're like,
of course.
You're like, whatever that is, sure.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
If chess presidents or organizers have a lot of energy and they want to channel that somewhere, the ambassador program is like the best way to do that. I love entrepreneurship, I love business, and I was hungry to start something. I saved up a bunch and I was gonna pour it into some real estate thing. And then I thought, why not do a chess club venture instead? So I stopped BYU Chess Club, ordered $1,500 worth of chess stuff, and then just started running a community club out of a library initially. I did a charity event at BYU, had like 30 people show up, and I thought nobody's gonna actually wanna play if we're charging 10 bucks. And they just didn't even bat an eye.
Wow.
Like, wow, okay, maybe there's an audience here. So I started my community club, which is a business. And so now we've shifted to Lehigh. We have about 50 members on a membership. And then other people just come and drop in, and I'm biased, but I think it's a sexy chess club. It's pretty fun. There's so many ways that business and chess coincide, and I love that. A big overlap that I see with chess and business and just kind of life is risk. I mean, calculated risk, but risk
management a little bit.
If you want to be successful, you got to take risks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that learning to take calculated risk is something that's important in life, just generally. Chess to me is such a metaphor for enjoying life, not just like surviving it, but reaping the deepest reward out of life. And I think risk is a big part of that.
I love that. I agree with you that chess is, for whatever reason, it's a symbol of what we tend to look as humans as the highest form of strategic thinking, right? There's a reason you hear the sports analogies constant and annoying. It's a chess game out there, right? Or someone's playing checkers while I'm playing chess, and insert any version of that, right? chess is that simple for people, right?
Totally.
Well, as a young person, you're probably the best ambassador we could ever have for the game, bringing that out into the world.
Want more chess on the go? Check out all of our essential chess apps. Turn your phone into a chess clock. Learn with Dr. Wolf. Tackle new chess challenges. Entertain your kids with Chess Kid, and level up with fun and adventure. Download them all at Chess.com/apps.
Hello, welcome back to week 7 of the CCL. As we get ready for our next match, let's take a closer look at how Susquehanna values the puzzle solving skills of their employees.
My name is Kelly Henry and I work in recruiting at SIG. Our founders' love for the quantitative side of strategy games is still the foundation of our business, our culture, and our education today. We have board game nights, competitive chess teams, and puzzles placed all around the building. We have grandmasters, we have World Series bracelet holders, but we also have people who play games just for fun. I think one of the things that makes SIG really unique is that you can be a student and a teacher. There's always a game to learn, and there's always someone who wants to teach you.
I'm Michael Hines, and I'm a quant here at SIG. I was a graduate student at UC Berkeley, and I got like this email from one of the recruiters at SIG about a brain teaser battle. The brain teaser battle was really fun. I also saw that this kind of puzzle culture was really integral in SIG and something that they cared about a lot, and was also really important to how they thought about problems, which I thought was really cool and made me want to pursue an internship at SIG.
We added escape rooms to our interview process as a way for us to see how candidates solve quantitative problems while working together collaboratively. It's important for us to see how people work together collaboratively on these challenging problems because it emulates the trading environment. It's what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis if they do end up joining SIG, no matter what role they're in. It's something that we found also gives the candidates an opportunity to feel what it would be like to actually work here.
And it goes like that.
I think the escape interview is indicative of all the puzzles we have to solve here. Not only because you're working together as a team, not only because you're leveraging the quantitative skills you need to be successful, but also because the open-endedness of trading and the open-endedness of financial markets suits itself reasonably well to the microcosm of the open-endedness of an escape room. But being able to sift out what has value, what does not have value, I think applies not only to traders, it applies to technologists, it applies to quantitative researchers trying to solve novel problems, it applies to everyone here at SIG.
Puzzles are obviously a big part here at SIG. I first came to SIG as an intern, and a lot of the trader education, but that's super game-centered. There's a lot of things about thinking about games and incomplete information that SIG believes is extremely correlated with how they think about the marketplace.
What would I say to a student who knows that they love puzzles but doesn't know what they want to do for a career? I would tell them to push themselves to try this. The similarities that exist between games, puzzles, and the work that we do here is clear. We know that the people at SIG who love puzzles, who love gaming, who love a fast-paced environment, thrive here. It's an environment that doesn't suit everyone. But if you love winning, if you love competing, if you love solving complex problems, I think we have great problems for you to solve here. My name is Kelly Henry, and I work in recruiting.
Hello, welcome back to Collegiate
founders love for
Chess
the
League Fall
quantitative side of
2024, brought to us
strategy
by our
games is still
sponsor
the foundation
Susquehanna.
of our
I'm your host
business, our
Jules.
culture, and our
This is
education
Ben.
today.
How
We
are you
have
doing,
board game
Grandmaster
nights,
Benjamin Block? What is
competitive
up?
chess teams and puzzles placed all around the building. We have grandmasters. We have
Oh, yeah, and we are here. All right, so we had a very exciting match between Virginia and SRM, Jules. And now we're going to have another exciting match.
Yes, we have UCLA versus Illinois, and I've already heard in chat that it's some people's alma maters. So if you guys are voting for anyone in particular, rooting for anyone in particular, let us know in chat. But it's an exciting match, and these are not two teams we see on stream very often. So that will also be a cool opportunity for both the players and for us.
Yeah, so here we have the lineup. So we have University of Illinois, right, on the left-hand side against UCLA. All right, so let's see. We have Kai Shah, Eric Zhang, Krishna Nathan, Sharvesh Divi Prasad. And then for UCLA, we have Rohit, Ashton, Bhavik, and Shashwat. All right, so Jules, looking at these lineups, it's looking pretty evenly matched.
It does look very evenly matched, and that will be a lot of fun here as well to be able to see that. It could really be anyone's match here.
Absolutely, yeah. It can really go either way. And Jules, was it you or was it Joe, or did any of you guys go to UCLA?
This is Joe's alma mater. So Joe is a huge UCLA fan. I have someone in my chat, Sleepy, who's been in my chat for a pretty long time. He is apparently a graduate of Illinois. So we have everyone on all sides here. And I'm not even sure who to root for here. And even if not root for, who will take home the victory? Because this is so evenly matched. I think it could be anyone's match. I don't know. This might be like a new rival we're going to see.
Yeah, so pretty big matchup in Division 2. We don't often see teams in Division 2 in action, but last week we did, and we saw Sluby shining, winning by 1 point, and their captain, Matthew Pikus, went absolutely insane. So that was really fun to watch. So let's see if we have some fun personalities in this matchup as well.
Yeah, I hope they have a lot of fun with it because it is a cool opportunity. But I also know sometimes being on stream can make people nervous. I personally don't think we're very intimidating, Ben. Are we intimidating? But I don't know.
I don't know if they're intimidated by us or by the viewers, the viewer count. Let's say knowing that right now there's like almost 3,000 people watching on the chess Twitch. Maybe that could be intimidating to them. But anyway, let's see how they're going to do. Like we've said, I think this is going to be a very even matchup.
Yeah, and it seems that the bird 4 for Illinois is late. Maybe he stayed out a little late last night. I do know it's Saturday morning, which honestly is like a very funny choice of Joe to do, to make these matches on Saturday morning for these college students. So maybe that factors into performance.
Well, it's afternoon by now, right? I mean, if it's like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, then yes, but like they've had some time to, recover from their Friday evening extracurriculars. So let's see how the players will show up to the match today.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
It's not morning for Illinois. I guess 12:39, which is where UCLA would be, their time zone, my time zone as well. It's kind of morning for them. It's still, this is like the college morning, You never want a college class after maybe, or before 10 a.m., maybe even 11 a.m. I made the mistake once. I was like, in high school, we wake up at 6 a.m. I could do it. I got a 9 a.m. class, and I swear I was late so often for that class. It's really tough.
Yeah, no, you really need to be disciplined. And I think if you like an 8 a.m. class, it's easy to do it in like the first couple of weeks, but after that, it's difficult. It's difficult as the semester becomes more difficult, more busy. Anyway, we are off with the first game between Shash and Kai Shah. All right, so we have a semi-Slav, if you will, and why delay the move knight to c3, and now he develops a knight to d2. So interesting stuff here. He goes knight e5. Maybe he wants to strengthen that knight with f2, f4.
Yeah, that could definitely be a possibility. And I really like f4. I do this kind of maneuver a lot in some Caro positions that you can get pretty often here. Maybe even a rook lift is in the future, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea now, especially with that bishop on b7 and those pawns threatening to break through.
Yeah, so I like the move c5 that Kai played, trying to break in the center a little bit, opening up the bishop on b7. All right, so let's see what Charles is going to do here. Maybe like queen f3, I was just about to point it out, is a pretty typical idea. Trying to go queen h3 to put pressure not only on the h7 point, but also on the knight on d7. So overall, I feel like White's got pretty decent chances here. Let's see what Kai is going to do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does here. And I do like the aggressive maneuvers. Yeah, this is kind of a really fun position, I'm not going to lie. And I do love seeing these fun positions. Like we said last time, sometimes playing slowly is the best way to do it in some of these matches. But when you're very evenly matched, as these two teams are, you can pretty much, you don't have to follow a single strategy. You can do whatever comes to you. And I think they're definitely going to try to have fun with aggressive positions. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see here. So again, I like the move queen h3. It would bring a lot of threats in the position. I think knight takes d7 here is a big threat if black recaptures with the queen. You then have bishop takes h7, as the bishop cannot be taken. That hangs the queen on d7. So White's looking at that kind of stuff. Bishop f5 also an idea, putting more pressure on this knight over here. You could go g6 to stop all of that, but then you're really inviting f5, either here or maybe White can go rook a1 first, rook ae1 first, followed by f5. So a lot of interesting stuff, and we see Shash sitting back. He looks pretty happy with his position.
He does. And by the way, we have a prediction in chat. Ben, who will you bet your channel points on? This is a tough one.
This is a close one. Tough. Let me see. All right, let me have a very quick look. I think the slight favorites. I'm going to say UCLA are the very slight favorites. So I'm going to go for them. Or I'll wait for chat to do it first, because I feel like I often put my channel points first, and then either they follow and then the odds are bad, or yeah, I'll let them choose first and then decide, depending on the odds.
I see. Yeah. I mean, I might do that as well. It seems like we have a pretty fair mix so far, but we have a lot of Illinois fans in the chat with that. I love how Ben says UCLA and everyone picks Illinois. That might be the best. I followed Ben once in my channel predictions. I lost all my points. So
really, wait,
yes.
What match did you follow me?
It was last week. And I think we put our points on Yale. Maybe was that the one?
Who did Yale play again?
Or maybe it was someone else. It might have been a different team. I think it was because it was D2. I'm forgetting which team that I lost all my points on, but I remember it was following you.
I thought you didn't follow me and then you lost, because I feel like I've been correct pretty much all of the time, because you're the favorite.
Well, I didn't follow you once and I lost, and then I followed you again and I lost. So no matter what you do, there's no winning. But we get really serious about predictions here. Ben is a huge prediction person. I see a lot of UCLA. I'm going to take the odds. I'm going to go Illinois here.
Yeah, I have a lot of channel points by now. I have 1.28 million pawns, so that's pretty good.
Oh my.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen here. All right, so Charles really going aggressive here on the king side. Bring his queen over to h3, rook over to g3, knight on e5, bishop on d3. Really going for the kill.
And a chatter said that Rosen went to Illinois for a couple of years. So apparently Eric Rosen also went to Illinois, so he might be another Illinois fan here.
Right. And I think he went to Illinois for a few years, and then I believe he transferred to Webster University, because I think he got maybe not a full scholarship, but maybe like something covered as part of the chess team.
Right. They do give scholarships at Webster for chess. I do know that. And this position, this looks a little bit rough here. The knight is going bye-bye, it seems. The knight or the rook, either one is going bye-bye.
Right, I don't see a way to defend that rook, and White also has ideas to push this pawn to d5 to open up the long diagonal for the bishop, and together with the rook, they would put a lot of pressure on the g7 point. So, I don't know, this is looking tough for Kai. I really like, again, what Shash is doing, By the way, Jules, it seems like 3 games are underway, but 1 game has not started yet. I have no idea why it hasn't yet.
Yeah, I believe they said that
wait,
he's late. One of the Illinois members is late. Yeah.
Any idea why?
I don't. My best prediction is, Friday night, sometimes people oversleep, sometimes they forget. I personally set like 12 alarms for this, just in case, because it can be difficult. It can be difficult when it's early in the morning to remember these things. But I'm sure all of their teammates are like sending messages and sending someone to knock on their door. So I'm not sure what it could be.
He might have forgotten because it's like 2:46 in Illinois. It's not like too early or anything. I mean, yeah, like you said, in California, I could understand. But, well, anyway, let's hope that the player from Illinois will show up and show some nice chess. In the meantime, again, this game is on fire. Shash going e6, blasting open the diagonal for his bishop. Maybe just pawn takes for Kai. He takes with a knight instead. Take, followed by f5. Looks crushing.
Yeah, f5. And you really have nowhere. I mean, maybe you could try moving your knight to d4, but even that, it's just so rough because you're gonna get pinned and yeah, this is not what Kai wants here. So yeah, it looks like this game is probably gonna go in favor of UCLA.
Yeah, just a bishop takes g7, but that would actually not be a good move because after queen h6, there would be queen d4. So queen h6 first, it looks pretty good. And look at this, Jules. If you go g6, queen h7 takes rook h3 and rook h8. We might see that on the board. But honestly, after g6, anything should be winning. Also, f5 looks completely crushing.
Yeah, but that would be beautiful. 10 out of 10 for that one. It's always great when you find a nice mate like that. So I think he'll try to go for it if he can.
I would do it 100%. My opponent would g6 out. Definitely take. I mean, I think it's actually the best move. Because, yeah, it takes rook h3. I mean, king f8 looks quite miserable. I don't know what black should do here. Maybe like f6, white takes here and play on, but it's rook, queen h.
We're gonna see it. He's definitely taking his time to calculate. No!
He missed it.
I mean, it's fair. The game is still completely winning. I'm wondering if you could just maybe you could even just go f6 and be happy, but everything works.
Yeah.
Or maybe not f6 because the knight will just come back. Yeah.
Yes, then I can jump back. Rook h3 also looks completely crushing. I don't see a way to defend this. After queen h7, king f8, I mean, like check and there. And there's always this check, which is pretty nasty as you're going to have to block with the rook. Yeah, look at this. Rook h7, check, take, anything there. I mean, also like f6 and take here. It's going to be win pretty soon for white. Just not f takes g6, because then after 92, you get checkmated.
Oh, you have to be a little bit careful on that one. That would not be what he wants to see there. But yeah, it seems just pretty simple. You could just take the rook. And again, yeah, f6. It's kind of hard to defend, but he's going for this. Makes sense as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a resignation any moment now. Rook d1 is winning. Rook takes f7. It's just complete. Or that. Yeah, so great win by Shash to take the lead for UCLA. Great win by him.
And the first point is going to UCLA. Should we go to bird's eye view, see what's going on in the other games?
Yep, let's go to bird's eye view as all of the other games are still on their way. All right, so it looks... Okay, so UCLA takes the lead, but on board number 2, they are struggling. It seems like Eric is doing very well with the black pieces. He's up a pawn, has a nice bishop pair. UCLA also crushing it on board number 3. Ashton sacrificed the piece, but that king on e1 is completely stuck there. And white has no time. Rook c1 looks like a blunder to me. It feels like there's got to be something. All right, so is there... I mean, I think just rook takes c1 or rook takes a2 looks crushing. Or knight
yeah, especially with 15 seconds on your clock, it's kind of tough to do what you need to do there.
Right. Okay, now, knight f3, bring some defenses in. Still, it's up to black to prove the win. Because, wait, is there rook takes a2? If you take the rook, then queen c1, king e2, and bishop b5. That looks pretty nice.
There are some really, really creative wins on the board there. And still wondering with that last board 4, if they're going to have their member show up for next round. If not, it could be pretty bad for Illinois. You can't play just down a point every single round and expect to win.
No, that'd be rough. And wow, look at this. Rook takes a2 on the board. Okay, so where's the checkmate? So check here. Wait, I think check here. Wait, yeah, I think, wait, bishop b5 here. Take, here, mate. I think that's the way to do it. Maybe there's a faster way to mate, but that is at least one checkmate that I can see.
Well, let's share an awesome opportunity with you all. Thanks to our sponsors at Susquehanna. They're inviting current freshmen and sophomores to join their Susquehanna Discovery Days, where you'll explore what a career in quantitative trading and finance could be like. You may have heard this is a great industry to explore to utilize your gaming skills. Some Discovery Days are virtual and others are in person at their Philadelphia headquarters. Flights and accommodation provided if needed. !Discovery to apply. Definitely something to check out here. It's always good to explore different career options when you're in college. Especially, it's just the time to explore yourself, but hopefully not to explore this position because this looks rough here for Illinois.
Yeah, and I think here Ashton has a great way to finish it off. Okay, that is winning. Rook a4 looks crushing, but I think what was even better was bishop c2 check here. King e2, queen d1, and king d4, queen a1. Looks pretty nasty, but he still is completely winning. Let's see how, yeah, rook a4. I mean, you're losing your queen and you get checkmated.
Yeah, you're losing your queen, you get checkmated. And also Illinois, as I said, had a forfeit on the last board, which is so incredibly rough. I mean, my channel points are struggling there because, yeah, it's already 2-0. One of those points was just automatic.
Oh, I kind of regret not putting my channel points on UCLA. I should have done that. Now the prediction is over, but that's on me. I mean, well, anyway, so great win there by Ashton. Great stuff by him. All right, so is that... No, there's still one more game ongoing. Illinois can still strike back on board number 2, but let's hope for Illinois that their board 4 player shows up quickly, because it's tough playing a match with one player less.
Yeah, 0-3 is a really tough start, but it looks like they're going to get a point on this board. They absolutely need to, and the thing is, yeah, if they had their last player show up, maybe they could have even tied the score, but automatically being a point down is almost impossible, honestly. Especially in such a close match like this.
It's rough. It's rough. We once had a match against UTRGV last season where a lot of things did not go our way. First of all, we had one player that missed, I think, 2 matches, so we were down 2-0. Robby was playing over the board or something, so he was there, but he was like not in the best shape. I was playing from a hotel lobby, so also for me it was not ideal. We fought hard, but still lost by 1 point. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough when you have one player less.
Yeah, that would be insane to still win with that. By the way, we have a friend of mine in chat, Luke. He went to UCLA, so we have another UCLA fan here. UCLA has a lot of strong chess players. They're very strong for chess. It's one of those schools like Yale that isn't necessarily a chess school, but tends to attract really good chess players.
All right, so let's see how Eric will try to put this one away. It's not over yet. Bavik is... Oh, he hung the pawn on a4. Now White can take. And, I mean, yes, Black can try, but this should be a draw at best play.
That is rough for Illinois. That would be exceptionally rough for Illinois, but maybe they can still take this home. Although, yeah, 3-2, just queen's a little bit tough.
Yeah, oh, h4. Okay, I like the fact that he's imbalancing the pawn structure. You know, check. Again, with best play, White should hold a draw, but it's definitely unpleasant. As Black can try this on can keep trying for a long, long time.
And he's down about 17 seconds, which isn't a lot, but could make a difference in kind of a position like this. So we could see him just try to dwindle down his time, make him think. The issue is, you know, no matter how many checks you give, you don't really have a good, I don't know, skewer or a good way to take a piece with check. So you really don't have to think that much on either side.
Right, so Eric giving some quick checks here, trying to gain some time on the clock. I think he should maybe put the queen on d4, like let's say queen e4, then move his king up, as then there will not be a check on the h8 square.
And I'm just hearing that Luke was actually the vice president at UCLA when Joe was there. So we do have all the chess people here in chat. I guess go Bruins. Okay, channel points aside. But yeah, it does look like Eric's putting up a pretty good fight. I like the idea of trying to bring these pawns up. I mean, you can keep giving checks all you want here.
Right, but I don't like the fact that he pushed that pawn up that quickly. I think he should have been more patient, as now it's getting a lot of checks to the black king, and there's not a clear shelter anymore. Okay, king g4, check. Be here, check. The one thing you should not do, okay, f3, check here. Yeah, I think he pushed the pawn a little bit too quickly. Don't go to h3, that would allow checkmate on 1. I think now it's just a draw, king h5, queen g3. Yeah, like he should have been more patient with pushing the pawns up. Now white is drawing this.
Yeah, and if you give a check, yeah, the king's just going to take, and you can try for your draw, but now he's also the one down on time, so he has to be a little careful, but this is just the dead draw. Both players know how to draw this, and we see it. Now it's half a point to Illinois and 3.5 points to UCLA. That is quite the point imbalance. Not only will Illinois need to find a quick board 4, maybe they can like knock on a door and see if anyone plays chess. Honestly, it's better than just taking a straight forfeit. But in fact, they're going to need to come back by 3 points. That will be tough next round. Do you think they can do it, Ben?
I don't think they can do it. I mean, they're down 3 points, actually 4, because they will already start the next match down a point, unless who is it? Sharvesh shows up, but yeah, it's looking tough. I mean, especially since they're missing one player. Maybe they just have to run into the library, be like, "Hey, anyone wants to play some chess?
Do we have a doctor here?" But yeah,
it does seem dog that knows how to play chess.
Honestly, anything is better than a forfeit. For the board performances, UCLA's board 1 took home the point. Kai Shaw did not take home the point. Eric Zhang, 0.5 out of 1. The only person in Illinois to get on the board so far. Ashton, 1 out of 1. One is Game Bobek, 0.5 out of 1. And Shashwath, 1 out of 1 here. For a whopping 0.5 to 3.5. Yeah, they're going to have to yell out, "Please, someone who plays chess, come here."
Right.
Anybody.
Right. And actually, I was just told by our producer that they're not allowed to have a sub at this point. So they have to hope that Sharfish shows up. I mean, otherwise, I think if Sharfish doesn't show up, it's just over. I don't see it happening, because then every match they will lose 1 point. UCLA will practically already have 6.5 points. They only need to win 2 more games. So let's hope he shows up. Maybe he's sleeping, taking a nap. I don't know what he's doing, but his team
I'm
needs
surprised
him
they
now,
don't have
more than
someone
ever.
like knocking on his door. They were probably calling.
They're all
someone to knock on
playing.
his
They're all
door.
playing. Right.
Yeah, but maybe during this break, we'll see them calling someone to knock on his door, because that's really the only thing they can get. There is no way they will be able to come back down a point. It will even be hard to come back not down a point, but they would have had a good shot if he had shown up.
Yeah. No, if he would have shown up, then yes, there's still a chance. But now, yeah, I don't see it happening. Like you said, I mean, they miss a player. They're down so many points. Let's see what they can do.
We're going to have board 1 versus board 3, Kai versus Bhavik, Eric Zhang versus Shashwath, Krishna versus Rohit, and Sharvesh versus Ashton. So this is going to be an interesting match. Illinois will really need to pull out a miracle here.
Yeah, let's see if they can do it, but not easy. All right, so yeah, I think it just all depends on whether Sharvesh can show up. If he can't, then I honestly don't see it happening.
Yeah, that is going to be the most important factor here. But each player still has to do their best just in case. I mean, I guess he could show up next round, but it would be really tough to come back. Maybe Illinois can pull something off, but it would be like the first time in history to see a comeback of this, also automatically being down a point.
Yeah, all right, so the next round is going to be underway, and there we go. So Kai opens up with 1d4, and Shavik responds with the Dutch defense. So keeping a lot of pieces on the board, aiming to get an imbalance. And he goes for e6, maybe, yes, and there we have a d5 going for the Stonewall.
The Stonewall defense, I've heard a lot about that. Stonewall players love playing the Stonewall. Every other player does not like playing against the Stonewall. So it is kind of an interesting opening. You really need to know your structures, which players who play this do tend to know their structures very well. And it could be a good surprise weapon.
Yeah, I mean, it can be easy for black to play. You just put the pawns, as we see, on d5, c6, e6, and f5. Really creating a wall. That's why it's called the stone wall. Now, the bishop on c8 was a little bit passive for the moment, but that's why he goes bishop b6 and bishop a6. So very solid stuff, and it also sometimes gives black some opportunity to do something on the king side here. If he can maybe get... I mean, right now it's tough to get the rook to g6, but maybe after a move like b3, he can trade on c3 and then f4 to open up some files.
That's true. It definitely is an option here. And, I never like giving my opponent this pawn structure that black has here because it's very comfortable for black. You have this great pawn structure. All of a sudden, the king side is cut off. You have a good attack coming. I mean, I don't know. That's why people tend to avoid taking like this. Even if you have a similar pawn structure, this looks very nice for black.
This looks very nice for black indeed. Yeah, so just rook f5, rook a f8, rook g5, rook h5. Really nice stuff here, really easy to play. And for Kai, it's never easy when you're facing an attack, and he doesn't look too happy with his position. I mean, the c-pawn is pinned. You cannot resolve the tension easily. I mean, if you take, you would hang the rook over here. You can move this rook, but then f2 becomes more vulnerable. So tough spot for white. I really like Bavik's position already.
Yeah, I mean, the best shot might be if you had a few moves to move your king to h1, get your rook to the g file, but that is also extremely dangerous since that rook can just lift up and threaten mate. But Kai is also their captain here, so he's really going to try to be putting on a good show for his teammates. He's also the board 1, so it's going to be pretty important that he can score against UCLA's board 3.
Yeah, so let's see what he will do. But yeah, I think black just has very easy play here. By the way, I believe that Sharvesh has already been forfeited for round number 2 as well. So I think UCLA is right now having a 4.5 point lead. Yeah, again, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening for Illinois. I really regret seeing him at channel points.
Oh, look at you, but I love how the only thing you're thinking about is the channel points, It all boils down to the channel points for Ben here. But I understand. I get it. And UCLA, they've got to be really happy with this so far. And Illinois' got to be a little bit mad at their 4th board who's not showing up unless maybe something happens. There's always times where there's an emergency or something takes precedent. But at the same time, there are also times when you accidentally sleep in and then you get the whole team mad at you, I'm sure.
Right. Set an alarm. But yeah, I'm really confused. And whoa, I think I just got a big raid from my good friend Daniel Naroditsky. Big shout out to Danya. I know it's his birthday, so happy birthday to Danya.
Oh, happy birthday, Danya.
Yep. So big shout out to him, and really do appreciate the raid. Welcome everyone. We're doing some Collegiate Chess League commentary. I saw that Danya came first in Bull Brawl. That's awesome. And he came 3rd in Titled Arena, so really great stuff by him there.
A strong birthday start. Would you sing him happy birthday, or are you not much of a singer?
No, I'm not gonna sing him happy birthday right now. I mean, I'm wishing him happy birthday. That's. I think he would appreciate that as well. Like, do you like it when people sing happy birthday for you, or like in a restaurant, or are you like, well, it's all fun and games now, but I want to go on with my dinner.
I think I get very embarrassed. I don't like it particularly when all the attention's on me, especially in a setting like that. I feel like it can be very awkward, although sometimes it can be funny. It depends on the situation. I do think it is fun sometimes to see like your friends who don't sing much try to sing you happy birthday, but it is also nice to be playing chess on your birthday. He's devoted for that. Also, yeah, we do have a lot of birthdays all over chess streams today. It's very interesting. But good job and congratulations on the birthday to Naroditsky. Should we go to a bird's eye view here?
Yeah, let's go to the bird's eye view. All right, so let's see what is going on over here. So we see that Sharvesh is not here. I think he forfeited his game, so UCLA now having a 4-point lead. Bavik is crushing it, so probably that's going to be a 5-point lead. And UCLA also doing well on board number 2, so I just don't see it happening for Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois is struggling there. I really just kind of want to see Sharvesh like run in, Rocky style and sit down at the board. But I feel like it's unlikely to happen here. And that is just very tough to be able to miss your last teammate like this. Have you ever had a situation where you've run in late to a big event like this?
I mean, I've come late to over the board games, but usually to stuff like this, I would be on time. Although it has happened to like my online games where maybe I would step away for a second and I would come back and I would be down like like I think in a 10-minute game, I came back and I was down a few minutes on the clock. That was pretty rough, and there was no increment.
Pulling a Magnus there. You know, sometimes it works to your favor. It's a psychological advantage. But I've just learned from our producer in the ear, you know, that they actually played a match before this, and Illinois beat SLU B. So I guess he was there for the match before this. So maybe something important did come up for him.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe he thought that was the only match they had to play. And by the way, we have Boosted in my chat who's trying to tempt me or tempt us to sing happy birthday. But I don't know if I want to do it.
You should. There's a 10 sub offer on the line for Ben to sing happy birthday. I see. You should do it, Ben. I feel like for the fans, you know?
I mean, it depends how long Boosted wants me to sing happy birthday. Just like one verse or...
There's only one verse of happy birthday. It's like, happy birthday to you. And that's happy birthday.
I mean, I guess. Let's see. Anyway, in the meantime, we have c5 by Bavik on the board, opening up the diagonal for the bishop, hitting the bishop on f3 is the plan. Again, this king on f2 is under a lot of pressure. I don't see Kai surviving this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the end here. And Kai's been struggling a little bit, especially as a board 1 that is not the showing you want against board 30. But I guess there's also a psychological component knowing you're starting down a point for the match. Apparently Sharvesh was playing on his phone for last match, so perhaps his phone died. That is totally a possibility. But yeah, it's going to be really tough for Illinois here, and UCLA must be pretty happy with this showing so far.
Right, yeah, I mean, I guess they also must be pretty happy that one player from the opposing team is not showing up. Although, ideally, that's not how you want to win. You want to win like a hard-fought fight, and then where you win in the end. But a win is a win, you know? Anyway, let's see, Queen H4, good move, I think, by Bavik, but maybe... Oh, the computer's pointing out Queen A4, but White missed it.
Well, Queen A4 is tough. Queen A4 is a little bit of a tough move there, but it does make sense. He's trying to defend that pawn, but now he doesn't have that counter threat that Queen A4 would bring. You know, I don't know. And we're getting some incentives to sing in chat, Ben. I don't know. Do you really want to disappoint the fans? It's the birthdays out here. You know, do you not care about birthdays, Ben? Are birthdays not important to you?
I do care about birthdays, and Daniel is a good friend. He's a good friend of mine, a colleague of us. So he's the main commentator. So perhaps maybe especially if Daniel is still here, you know.
Okay, that is fair. That's fair. I've actually been trying to get Ben to sing this entire season. He doesn't know this, but this has been like a goal of mine since day one. Like I've been putting like tiny little hints in chat. Like I'll forget a song and try to see if he'll sing a verse to get in, but I haven't managed to be successful yet. But as commentators, we have to have our fun a little bit with that too. Maybe one day, Ben. One day.
Right. Who knows? Yeah,
who knows?
I didn't know. I didn't know you were trying me to sing. But yeah, it depends. I see that I did get a $50 donation by Boosted. So big shout out to Boosted. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think that might be for the singing, but he can clarify if I'm wrong.
I think yes, but also for my presence, it already makes him happy in general. It was like an upfront payment. Interesting.
Just for your presence. Well, I mean, you know, it's possible. It's possible. Ben is doing a great job commentating here during this match. You know, it is tough sometimes to always be on and to do some great commentary. So shout out to him for doing that. Should we go to bird's eye view?
Yeah, so let's go to the bird's eye view. Okay, and let's see what's happening in the other games. All right, looks like UCLA is just crushing it. As we see, they did get the point on board number 4. On board number 2, they're also winning because the queen on b3 is under attack, and if you move the queen, then black can take on f2. Queen takes f2, and that's going to be checkmate. Yes. All right, that's game over there. If Bavik wins his game as well, it might already be almost match over. So I don't know. It depends. Is our producer fine with singing happy birthday for Danya?
We'll ask our producer. Joe, Joe, how do you feel about that? But also, I think personally Ben must have a beautiful voice. So I'll just put that out there. But we'll wait for him to respond there. See if he can. But here it looks like UCLA is just absolutely crushing. Maybe that will also put Joe in a good mood. I don't know. Joe is a UCLA alma mater, so I know he is a fan of the school. I did a lot of work with college chess while he was at college too. This program didn't exist really before him, so lots of good that it is doing here. Yeah, and it seems like UCLA is really following in his lead. They're playing very well, and Illinois is struggling a little bit here.
Yeah, Black's just completely winning in the game between Bavik and Kai. Bishop takes d5, picking up another pawn. No, White's not a pawn in the position. White's trying to hang on, but it's just c4, GG. Taking the queen and the rook. And I think White's going to flag or resign. Yep. All right.
And I just got a word from our producer that he, in fact, wants us to sing. Not only is he okay with us singing, he wants us to sing.
He wants... Okay. Well,
I'll sing with you, Ben.
Okay. Well...
You started, though.
All right. Well, we can maybe watch the end of this round, as there's still one more game ongoing. And sure, after this round is over, then... one of my favorite viewers, Boosted, can get the singing because he did pay for it. It's Danya's birthday. In the meantime, this game looking pretty even. Black having the two knights, White having the two bishops, but really hard to activate those two bishops.
Yeah, it is tough to activate. Usually the bishop pair is a really strong thing in these endgames, but those knights can be a little bit tricky. And the bishop is actually being blocked, which is interesting. Both bishops are being blocked. So we'll take a little bit of rerouting to be able to free those bishops.
Right, but the thing is, the knights are active, and it can be an advantage if the two knights are defending each other, but it can also be a disadvantage if White goes bishop b4. And so I think it's clever that Black played knight a3 first, because if White played bishop b4 one move earlier, then, if White was able to do that, then the knight on c4 would be stuck defending the knight on d6, and the knight on d6 would be stuck defending the knight on c4. So maybe bishop b4 now could put Black in a tough position, but I guess king e7. You defend this knight, and then the other knight can move.
And I mean, I guess I always say this about knights, and maybe it's personal bias, but when you get low on time, as both these players are, those knights can be a little bit tricky, but he is doing a really good job at making sure there's not a lot that they can do. That seemed like a little bit of an odd move. Maybe you can even trap that knight if you're careful.
Yeah, so you can go king c3 and then king b4. Yes, Black trades off one of the knights, but then the White king gets active. If it gets access to the d5 square, e5 gets weak. I think Krishna might be... He's still under some pressure here.
Yeah, he's definitely under pressure, and he has to be boosted. Thank you so much for the 10 subs. You are awesome. I'm assuming that is pre-singing a bait there, so Ben did say he would do it after the round. I'll make sure to hold him to it. I appreciate it, and getting the hype train started is very kind of you. So we will see what happens there, Ben. Now there's no worming out of it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no. But some mistakes were made here by Rohit. He had the opportunity to trap the knight, but now the knight is jumping loose, and it can go after these pawns on the king side. White barely got that move off with 0.4 seconds on the clock. Still, I like Black's chances as White.
Oh, he has to move. He's getting so low on time. Oh, and one of the pawns is going to fall as you defend your bishop. Yeah, and now with that passed pawn, it's just too powerful.
Yeah. All right, so take, maybe, okay, you're there. Yeah, no, the passed b pawn coupled with the pressure on the pawn on e4 should just be too much for White to handle.
Absolutely. It's going to be too much, yeah. And especially with that time.
Yeah, just push the b pawn. White's going to try to do something on the king side. Okay, king h, yeah, but knight takes c4. Take on g5, GG.
GG. Yeah, I mean... That is really, really tough there, but it looks like Illinois might score a point there, which they, in fact, do need. Still, UCLA is absolutely leading, but we're going to have to see some good technique here, though, with a knight and an extra pawn. This is pretty much over. And we see it. He has...
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, yeah, no, so great win for Krishna. I think UCLA has already... won the match pretty much because they are 6.5 to 1.5, and they will get 2 more points because Sharvesh is not here.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so that is really rough for Illinois there. And I mean, with the board performances from this round, I mean, it just shows that UCLA is doing very well. So far, their board one, well, making sure everything is updated, 6.5 to 0.5, wow, okay. So their board one is, Kai is 0 out of 2, he's been struggling a little bit, UCLA 1 out of 2, 1.5 to 6.5, okay, thank you. Eric saying is 0.5 out of 2, Ashton is 2 out of 2, Krishna's 1 out of 2, Bobik 1.5 out of 2, Sharvesh 0 out of 2, Shashboth 2 out of 2. So that is quite the score there. I'm wondering if this is the time for singing, Ben. What do you think?
Soon. We will first do a game review. Give me 1 second, and then we're gonna do that. But first, yes, we absolutely, Jules, have to take a look at this game. All right, let's have a look. Because this game started off. All right, so here we have the game review. So this game started off as a London system. Now, the London is known to be like sometimes boring opening, but let's have a look what happens here. Black goes c5, white takes the pawn, and black goes e6, trying to get the pawn back. So b4, a5, c3. All of this is theory. Bishop d7, knight d2, and black takes and plays pawn to b6 to try to break up the pawn chain. So white takes here, black takes here, and bishop c7. Very tricky move, hitting the queen. All right, so black played queen e7, b7, and rook a3. And look at this, Ashton was blitzing all of this out. He sacrifices a full knight on b8, but he had it all prepped. Bishop a4 played instantly. Queen c1. Apparently this is already a losing mistake. White should have played bishop to e5. Very tricky stuff, but queen c1. Black just takes here. And again, black's down a full piece, but the pin over here is just devastating. That's a bishop b5. Black castled. Every single piece is joining the attack. Queen b8, rook c8, rook c1, and knight e4. Perhaps not the best move, but also winning, putting more pressure on the knight. White took. Now here already you cannot take the bishop on b4 because of check, king e2, and queen e1 checkmate. So white played knight gf3, and here black found a brilliant move. Rook takes a2, sacrificing the rook, sacrificing the bishop. But if you take one of these pieces, you get brutally checkmated. For example, if you take the rook, there's queen c1 check, king up, bishop d1, king d3, and here, for example, knight c5, king e4, and queen c3. So instead, white took the bishop on b4. All right, so check, king e2, bishop d1 check, king d3, check, king here, rook a4. White's losing the queen, but that's not even the main problem. White's king is simply getting checkmated in the middle of the board. White took the queen. Black could have taken, but instead he was like, nah. Queen c3, checkmate. Amazing game by Ashton, and his team is also doing amazing as they're leading by a big margin.
That was a really good game. Thank you for sharing, Ben. And it looks like UCLA is just absolutely crushing it today. I know a certain producer who will be very happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm sure Joe is happy to see his team crushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting in our ear, Ben, no pressure. Is this a singing moment? I can sing louder. I'll drown you out, I promise.
Okay, fine. Sure. It's Diana's birthday, so how does it start? Happy birthday, to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Tanya. Happy birthday to you. Right, that was amazing. W in chat for Ben, please. I know it's hard to sing in public, and he's been doing absolutely great commentator. Now we see his hidden talent. But as you guys know, we'll find out. Will this match end after round 3? Let's find out right after this break. That was great. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Have a friend or family member who loves chess? Gift them a Chess.com membership today and see them take their game to the next level. You can choose a gold, platinum, or diamond membership for 1 month or 1 year. Want your gift to arrive on your friend's birthday or on a holiday? Gifts can be scheduled to arrive up to 90 days in the future. All premium plans include an ad-free experience, unlimited puzzles and lessons, and unlock all bots. Go platinum to add unlimited game review or diamond to unlock insights and coach explanations. Give the gift of chess today.
Let's explore game review.
After establishing a positional clamp in the opening with the bishop pair and a strong d5 pawn, Grandmaster Jan-Krzysztof Duda appeared to be en route to a typical Super Grandmaster versus Grandmaster victory as he grew his edge to a winning one over the next 20 moves. Still, in every game there comes a critical moment where a good position must be accurately converted. Duda found the right idea with 35h3 to force Grandmaster Dragnev's queen away from the defense of the bishop, since queen f5 is met by g4. Dragnev played the resourceful but desperate rook takes f1 check, and then Duda erred. Capture with the king was necessary and the checks will run out, but after the overly clever king h2, the bar shot back to equal. Dragnev has 3 pieces hanging, but the brilliant queen takes h3 check saves the game for him. After Duda captured the queen, his rook fell with check. He can move his king up, forking the rook and knight, but then the knight is sacrificed to force checkmate on h3. There was no good way to evade the perpetual check, so Dragnev secured a draw both for himself and for Austria against Poland in their critical match. Stunning shots like queen takes h3 check are rare, but chess games are filled with resources. Run game review on your own games to find amazing ideas lurking underneath the surface.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to CCL. This is week 7. We're so happy to be here. And you know, we've had kind of a crazy match here. UCLA has been absolutely crushing it. How are you doing, Ben? After
doing well. Oh, after
doing
what?
well. After the birthday singing, you know, I know it was a tough event for us commentators, but we survived. Do you think Illinois can come back, or is it just a lost cause here?
I don't think they can come back. I mean, right now we see that UCLA already has 6.5 points. They only need 2 more points to win the match. And those 2 points might very well come from one Illinois player missing. That's already 2 points right there. So I just don't see it happening for Illinois, but I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I feel like, we just had a start of a new career, right, Jules? We just started our singing careers.
Yeah, we started our singing careers, so stop by next time. It won't be a chess stream, it'll be a singing stream. I'm sure you all will enjoy that. Yeah, I hope you're very glad to have pushed us in that direction. But I don't know, we'll see what's going to happen here for the next round. I know these players are really going to have to be shaking off a little bit of a tough round, Illinois especially. But I think just coming in knowing you're going to be down a point is really difficult psychologically. But here we have the board 1 versus board 2, Kai-Shal versus Ashton, Eric versus Rohit, Krishna versus Shashwath, and Sharvesh versus Bhavak.
Yeah, by the way, so some breaking news. Apparently Sharvesh is here, so he will be playing the last 2 games, but yeah, it is looking tough for his team. Who knows, maybe if he would have been able to join earlier, this could have been a closer match, but at least Illinois still has a chance. It's not completely over just yet.
That's true. They still do have a chance, and you never know. Sometimes things happen, technology breaks, but he is here now. That's what's important. Maybe that will give his team the boost they need to at least close the gap a little bit.
Yeah, no, they need to... if they sweep... they pretty much need like a sweep or something in this round to get themselves back into the match or winning by 3 or 2 points. Anyway, we are off, and we see once again a suave defense by Kai with the black pieces against Ashton with white. So pretty much the same stuff from Kai what we saw in his earlier game. We see knight c3 by Ashton. I think the other player played knight b2 and knight e5. I think that was Shashwant against Kai.
Yeah, and Kai is their board 1, Kai's their captain, and he's also 0 out of 2 so far. So he's had a rough match. He'll really need to come back for this match because, as you said, they do need a clean sweep, Illinois, if they're going to save the match in some of our channel points.
Yeah, so here we have an interesting Moran position where all of the pieces are still on the board. Rook e8 by black. Often white tries to push for e3, e4. Black sometimes tries to push for e6, e5. And what the players can also do is bring their rooks to the middle. It moves like rook e1 or rook fe1 to prepare all of that. And black usually puts the queen on the e7 square. So let's see if we'll see that.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if we can see that. By the way, I want to talk to you about an awesome opportunity thanks to our sponsors at Susquehanna. They're inviting current freshmen and sophomores to explore what a career in quantitative trading could be like. You may have heard this is a great industry to explore to utilize your gaming skills. Some discovery days are virtual and others are in person at their Philadelphia headquarters. Flights and accommodations provided if needed. !Discovery to apply. Really awesome opportunity for people who are currently in college, so I would check it out. Speaking of opportunities, what is going on in this position here? It looks pretty solid, pretty good for both players. They both kind of have what they want here. Maybe you have to block that threat of taking the H pawn, but there seems to be easy ways to do that. Maybe just H6 is fine.
H6 is a move. Also knight F6 is a move, defending the pawn and attacking the bishop. White will probably move the bishop back to d3. And then the big question is whether black can break with pawn to c5. Maybe, let's see, if c5, white can take on c5, then take on f6, take on h7, followed by bishop e4. Yeah, and I think that's the line we're seeing right here. So if you take on c5, I think white takes here, you recapture, white takes the pawn over here. And at first glance, you might think black has pretty good compensation, but bishop e4 completely neutralizes everything. And now I think Kai is just down a pawn for just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough, and you even see on his face, he's shaking his head. He's like, what is happening here? I mean, he's a strong player. He's just having a rough day.
Yeah, and Ashton, he played some amazing chess in round number 1. We just reviewed that game right before the break, and I also really like what he's doing here. He's up a pawn. This king on h8 is not in massive danger, but it's still a little bit airy. So let's see how Ashton is going to proceed here. Maybe like g3, king g2, h4 makes sense as well. Although the computer is not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense too, but perhaps you have some issues with that bishop planted on e5. Maybe potentially there could be a tactic where, queen could take g3 eventually, and then you can't take back because you're in a pin or some sort of shenanigans like that. But now especially h5 looks kind of tempting.
Right, I think h5 for the moment will still just be taken by the black pawn. But yeah, the f2 point is always under a little bit of pressure. Like if you go g3 here, you do have to keep in, like you have to think, hey, what am I going to do if black goes queen b2, putting pressure here. So let's see what Ashton is going to do. He's up a pawn, he has a good position, but still not easy at all to finish it off.
Going for the queen trade, which makes a lot of sense. He's just up a pawn, I believe, for not a lot, but this is still definitely drawable. Should we take a look at bird's eye view?
Yeah, let's look at the bird's eye view as all of the players are here. So we see in the bottom right-hand corner that Sharvash is here. He's playing with the white pieces, and he's playing a sort of reverse modern defense with the pawn on g3. Yeah, it's great that we have him here and that he is playing right now.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of games we're gonna see at the moment. But I think that's also great psychologically for his team to have him back. I mean, it is round 3, and UCLA is only 2 points away from taking home the match. So even an even score in this will allow UCLA to take home the match in round 3.
Yeah, now every point and half a point would be great for them. So Illinois is really going to have to go all out, try to win every single game that is remaining, but it's tough, it's tough. In the meantime, yeah, Ashton does take that pawn on a7, but now Kai has the opportunity to go rook a8, attacking the knight, and if the knight moves, you can take on a2. So maybe Ashton was planning to go rook to d7, defending that knight, and now it's not so easy for black to get the pawn back.
Yeah, it definitely isn't easy for him to get the pawn back. Yeah, this looks like a little bit of a tough position, and also it seems that Kai's been struggling a little bit, and trying to come back from that is also pretty difficult in the end games. But I don't know. I like all the positions on the boards. I think we have some really sharp positions here as well. Wondering if Eric is going to get castled. I don't know. Is there any game in particular that you're like, this is going to be really, really interesting?
Yeah, I think Eric's game is pretty interesting. He's up a pawn, but white has pretty good compensation with the bishop pair, some nice attacking prospects. So it's going to be interesting to see what Eric is going to do. It feels like his king cannot be safe forever in the center. Castling kingside also has its drawbacks. Castling queenside also looks terrifying, as white has that open c-file to work with. So I don't know. Probably kingside castle is still your best bet.
By the way, do we have any UCLA fans or Illinois fans in the chat? I know we have some people who went there that we've seen before, but curious where the support is leaning so far. I don't know. It's going to be a rough match for Illinois, but they definitely can come ahead of it. If they manage to clean sweep, though, that will be very difficult. I mean, you've talked about some pretty close comebacks we've seen before, but that's not always a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. I mean, 5 points is a lot. I mean, my experience in these matches is like 1 point lead is nothing. 2 points is also definitely still doable, but like 3 or more, it starts becoming a lot. And we're now looking at a 5 point lead. So I just don't see it happening, especially since, yeah, UCLA only needs 2 more points to win the match.
I see a UCLA fan in chat. Yeah, I see a few UCLA fans in chat. So they're probably pretty happy right now. They're doing very, very well. Illinois beat SLU B in the previous round. So they've also had a good day, even if they're struggling with this match. But I don't know. It's always tough to see when you're down 5 points, which is one of the biggest gaps we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's looking tough. It's looking tough. And also, it's looking pretty good for Ashton on board number 1. He has a 3 versus 1 majority on the queen side. But let's have a look at this game between Rohit and Eric Zhang. Right, so we talked about this before. Where's the black king going to go? Is it going to stay in the middle? Is it going to castle king side, castle queen side? Right now, white is hanging the bishop on g5. But if you take, white wants to take the rook on h8 with a check, which looks pretty good for white. So let's see what Eric is going to do. The computer here is pointing out rook to c8. Wow. I guess the idea might be to go knight c2 in some positions.
That is an interesting move. Perhaps it was meant for the same idea, but it seems, yeah, you can either go to, I think c4 is probably the strongest option because you don't walk into any sort of attack. Queen is forced back and all of a sudden your knight is active now. It looks like a pretty decent position.
Yeah, knight c4, a good move by Rohit. And here black needs to be really careful. We see the computer is pointing out queen to c7, but to the human eye, that's not an easy move at all, as it would allow rook takes e6 with a check. Now, I guess the computer thinks that after king f8, this rook is hanging, the knight is hanging, and black is doing fine, or maybe more than that, but not easy to do that. However, if you play another move like queen c6, you run into knight e5, queen e7, same thing. So tough position for Eric. Let's see what he's going to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that is a really hard move to play. I feel like most people, even not in blitz, would struggle to play that. And in blitz alone, you don't even want to allow checks sometimes, let alone such a grueling attack. But he's definitely thinking and taking his time. So I believe he is calculating that. And he is a little bit up on time, so he's allowed to calculate that as well. This is definitely a tough moment.
Wow, and he finds it very impressive move by Eric. So he's hanging the pawn on e6 with a check, but yeah, king f8. I guess there's still rook e4 to defend the knight, but then you walk into this diagonal of the bishop. So it feels like there's got to be something for black there. Now Rohit drops below a minute. Yeah, this game really can go either way. I mean, instead of taking the pawn, you can also go knight e5 and keep a lot of play in the position.
Yeah, but taking the pawn is just so tempting. How do you see that and not play it? It would feel like an insta-play, honestly. Like, it feels like you should have something there.
It goes b3 instead. That feels a little slow defending the knight. And now the computer is saying, like, hey, just castle out of it. It would attack the bishop. And I think white is not in good shape to sacrifice. As black is queen f4, which completely shuts down the attack. And Eric finds it. Great stuff by him.
Yeah, he's playing really well, and he's even making the moves that, as we said, were pretty hard to make, but he's taking his time, he's doing what he needs to do, calculating. You know he's fully calculating in order to make these kinds of moves as well.
Yeah, he is locked in, and now Rohit down to 20 seconds on the clock. I'm sure he's looking at this, but oh, he goes for it, but queen f4, that completely kills the attack.
And we see a chatter saying they play the UCLA people in the club and they crush him. Yeah, these players are so strong. All of them are very strong. Even though this is D2, and they're still like incredibly strong players. It's crazy how much talent we have in the chess league.
Yeah, no, it's great to see these amazing players as well. So, okay, so queen f5 now by Eric. Of course, he would love to get the queens off. But I think Rohit will try to keep the queens on. But, you know, black, okay, takes a3, knight c2. Black has to be winning here. Up a piece. White simply does not have enough.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate there because you feel like you had your attack, you had your moment, but queen's off the board. There's really nothing you can do there. Should we take a look at bird's eye view, do you think?
Yeah, let's have a look at the bird's eye view. I mean, this game is not over yet, but there's a lot of action in the other games. So we see that Kai has won his game. Could this be the comeback for Illinois? So Kai won there for Illinois.
Oh.
Illinois also winning on board number 2. Sharvesh is better against Bavik. And then we have Krishna, who is worse against Shash. I mean, if Krishna loses, it's not over yet, but that would make it tough for Illinois.
Yeah, Krishna would need to win the game, but looking at his game, it does seem like there is still life in it. I mean, black has a great attack, but at the same time, queens are on the board. You know, there are still opportunities for blundering, but he's so low on time that makes it very difficult for him.
Yeah, no, it is, yeah. 9 seconds against a minute, that is not a spot you want to be in time-wise. And black also has that A-pawn that you just push down the board. Black has very easy moves, so I don't like Krishna's chances. In the meantime, Eric is just crushing it. Everything is coming in. Just taking A1, he gets a queen, and Eric wins with the black pieces. So now UCLA is only leading by 3 points. Could this be a comeback for Illinois?
It definitely could be. This might be what they need, especially like we said, the psychological, pressure is off now having their fourth player here. This could be exactly what they needed.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe now they're thinking like, hey, all of us are here. We can do this. Whereas before they might be like, oh, well, one player is missing. We don't really have a chance. Let's see. I think if they really want to have a chance, Sarvesh also has to win. And yeah, Krishna just should not lose. A loss there would really make it tough for them.
It would, but this is going to be tough to win, especially with 5 seconds on the clock. Although, you know, the time is evening, and that helps a little bit, but he has to move. He has to make sure, he doesn't forget about his clock as well. 1 second,
Right.
move.
Oh, and I think Sarvesh, the player we've not seen yet, is winning here with the white pieces. 93, forking the rook and the bishop. This is just going to be win for white. Rook c4, take, rook c2, there's rook d2. Yeah, Sarvesh is doing it.
No, he absolutely could win this. And that could be the comeback Illinois needs. Like we said, they needed a clean sweep and it would be difficult, but they might get it. I think it's all relying on Krishna.
I don't think Krishnan is winning this one, but even a draw for him would be great. I mean, then they would go into the final round. If Sarvesh wins this one, they would go in the final round 7-5, which is still very doable. Oh, wait, what's happening here? This is not over. Oh, wait, White completely threw it. King e6. Wait, Black's completely back in the game.
I mean, maybe, and you can't even, I think he probably thought he had rook takes c, and then maybe you would win the rook, but now everything's defended. Oh,
And
he's
now
got to be
Black
upset
is
about
pushing for
that.
the win. No, Black is pushing for the win. As Black is the more active king. King d4, 93, and king c3. What a turnaround in this one.
Yeah, there's a huge turnaround, and that's what happens when you don't have a lot of time. It's really difficult.
King b3.
It's that pass pawn.
I don't know what Black is doing. Just king b3 and push the a pawn. Now, wait, maybe knight of 2 now? 93? Just swing the knight
Feels
back.
like he's still in time.
This is all. Wait, 94, and knight here. Okay, 93, 96.
Oh, and the calculation is wild, but he has to think. He has 12 seconds to think. I think he's going to find it, yep.
Not completely over yet. As White can maybe win the knight and then still has a few pawns, but this has to be a win for Bavik. Let's see what he'll do.
Yep.
Push, take. All right. Maybe like 93.
I mean, yeah, even still.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's with a G pawn, it's winning for Black. With an H pawn or an F pawn, it's a draw, but this now is a very straightforward win. And I'm sure Bavik is going to get it. So huge turnaround in this one. I mean, Sarvesh was completely winning, but now he's losing. And that really puts a damper in Illinois' chances for a comeback, as Krishna also lost. Nah, it's just.
Yeah.
I think that's it, actually. That's it. If
That's
Black
it,
wins this game,
yeah.
the match is officially over.
The match is over. I mean, they're still going to have to play the last round for tiebreak points, and that's their chance to come back from it. But this was their opportunity. This was Illinois' opportunity to come back, and you can see his face. He knows he was winning. They had their chances. But now UCLA, it seems that they are clinching the match with 1 round to spare.
Yep, I think they have. Wait, have they clinched the match or not? Wait, I guess we're waiting for the. I think they have. No,
I believe they.
They reached 8.5 points.
Yeah, I believe they have clinched the match, but we will just double check on that one there as it gets updated. But yeah, so far Kai got his first point there. Yeah, they have clinched the match, UCLA. They still have to play the last round for a tiebreak, but UCLA must be really happy at that. Still a good showing from Illinois. Their board 1 got his first point. Rohit is 1 out of 3 as well. Eric, 1.5 out of 3, 2 out of 3. Ashton, who's been doing very well. Krishna, 1 out of 3. They're board 3 at UCLA. Bavik has been doing extraordinarily well, 2.5 out of 3. Sarvesh, 0 out of 3. Close game. And UCLA's board 4 is a startling 3 out of 3. Shashwath, that's very impressive to have your board 4 doing that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this UCLA team is looking really strong. And yeah, it's tough for Illinois. They definitely had a chance. Had Sarvesh won, had Krishna held the draw, then again, it would have been 7-5. I mean, there's definitely still chances there, but now it's just mathematically over. UCLA reached 8.5 points. So again, the last round is just going to be for board points, which might or might not matter. I honestly don't know the standings in Division 2, but here we have our pairings for the final round, Jules.
Yes, it will be the board 1 versus board 1, Kai versus Rohit, Eric versus Ashton, Krishna versus Bavik, and Sarvesh versus Shashwath. we'll see how it will go. Maybe they can get some points on the board. Illinois, after a tough match for them, almost a comeback. It will be what they need. We'll see if they can get some of these tiebreak points.
All right, so the last round will still be played. Everyone is getting ready over here. All right, so I guess board one, it will be the game that starts first between Kai, Shah, and Rohit. Let's see what is going to happen there.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Okay, maybe not. I say that and then we see the London.
Right, but we saw earlier in the match that the London can also get pretty sharp, but this one is a little bit more of a slower start. Bishop d6 and white takes on c5. Yeah, and the other games are going to start soon as well. But yeah, very, very impressive victory by this UCLA team.
Yeah, they've been playing extraordinarily well. You know, it was their chance in the spotlight and they took it. So congrats to them on that. And also, this is kind of interesting. The London structure is a little bit destroyed. Which is kind of what you go for here with this the c5 move that we saw before. So now we've got kind of an interesting game. What do you think about this position?
I think it looks pretty good for white. White's up a pawn, and I don't see how black is getting it back. I mean, yeah, the knight on c6 has just been captured, and white can also use these squares e5 and d4 for his knight. So white often is quite happy with the structure, even without the c5 pawn. And with the c5 pawn, it must only be better.
Yeah, and that is a great outpost. I mean, if black had a few moves, they would want to push e5 themselves, but they can't really do it yet. So they're, you know, it feels like there was supposed to be a gambit here, but maybe it just didn't go well.
Yeah, so some nice opening stuff here by Kai. Let's see what he's going to do now. Maybe c3 and b4, and that's what he goes for. Strengthening that pawn on c5. Again, one knight can go to e5, the other knight can go to d2. Okay, a4, interesting stuff, because I guess maybe he wants to go rook a5 and target the c5 pawn that way.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. It makes a lot of sense. You get the outpost, you're happy. But he doesn't make that move. Now you're allowing the move you suggested.
Right,
a5,
and the problem
do
for
it.
white is that now white's not in time with b4, as black can take, and after pawn takes, black can take on c5. You can take with the knight to defend the c5 pawn, but then your entire queenside pawn structure is shattered. So Rohit really needs to go rook a5 here. Instead he goes, okay, let's see. White's still better here, but black very much in and out. So definitely a missed opportunity for Kai.
Yeah, it's definitely a missed opportunity. He has been struggling all this match, but he managed to come back from a bad position last game, so it's possible for him to come back from this position. Well, this is not a bad position. This is still a good position, but I guess it's possible for him to convert it pretty easily if he tries. This is really difficult, though. I don't know. He had such a good position a few moves ago, and I wonder if psychologically that's difficult to have a good position, then all of a sudden it's kind of back to the drawing board.
Yeah, it's definitely always annoying when you have a good position and then you make a few mistakes and your entire advantage is gone. And I think that's what we're seeing right here. Black gets the pawn on c5, and again, now white has a bunch of weaknesses. So honestly, black is now doing very fine, but the computer does not like that move. Wait, okay, so knight g5. What is the idea? So rook c4, rook c4, knight a5. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Oh, and then you have a fork.
Yes, knight g5. If rook c4, knight a5 with a fork. If rook a4, you take on c5, and then queen c2, forking the rook, and h7. So knight g5 would actually trap the rook, but very tough to spot. Let's see if Kai can find it.
There's no way. That is such a hard tactic. But he's thinking. So maybe he is calculating it. Sometimes when you see them taking a little bit, it's because they're calculating all these moves. I really hope he finds it. That's beautiful. That's a fun tactic.
Oh, and he finds it. Great.
Oh, so good.
Another problem for black is after knight takes, pawn takes, this rook is just trapped, as now the c4 and a4 squares are taken away. So tough spot here for Rohit. Does he realize that his rook is trapped here?
I think he might realize that his rook is trapped, but maybe it will take him a second as well, because it feels like you should have something knowing that you can take on b3, and then, you know, feels like it shouldn't be trapped, but unfortunately it is, and now they're going to see it. Knight a5. Maybe he's just double calculating there, making sure he's got everything right.
Wait, and after rook c4, Kai was like, he had a bit of a reaction, but after knight a5, he's just forking the queen and the rook. Now we see Rohit unhappy, but rook c4 might have actually been a better move. If you go rook a4, then after takes queen c2, you might be in more trouble. So I think by accident he's making perhaps the right moves to keep himself in the game.
Yeah, you definitely have issues. I mean, Queen C2 is still a threat that they'll have to develop one day, but now you just get the rook, you're happy. Oh yeah, this looks very nice.
Queen D4 offering the trade of queens. Yeah, this should be a technical win for Kai. He's up the exchange, he has plenty of open files for the rooks. So I do expect him to convert this one into a full point.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to want to trade queens here, but the issue is if you move your queen back, all of a sudden, White's queen has a lot of room on the king side, which is already a little bit weak. I mean, there's not really much you can do here.
Yeah, so looking tough for Rohit. All right, so Jules, perhaps you want to go back to the bird's eye view and see what's happening in the other games?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so all of the games are underway. It's looking pretty good for Ashton on board number 2 as well. So we might get a big score here by UCLA. And then on board number 3, that game can really go either way. Really a mess there. Black having some pawns in the middle. And then board number 4 is looking pretty good for Shawad against Sharvesh.
Yeah, Ashton's been absolutely killing it, though. I mean, his positions are great, really on today. But yeah, it looks a little bit rough. I'm wondering if maybe it's kind of an interesting position here we're seeing in Bobik's game. I've actually never seen a position like that before. It's very unique.
Yes. No, anything can happen. So, okay, now we see that we have opposite color bishops, but the king on h1 could be a little bit airy over there, especially if black can slide in with the queen, maybe with the bishop as well, but it's not so easy to do that. Yeah, so, but overall, I feel like UCLA should win this round as well and win with a slightly bigger score.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a great score for them, even if they're able to tie this round. That would still be a great score for UCLA, who's just been absolutely crushing it. And these are two teams that are pretty fairly evenly matched. So definitely everything they could hope for here.
Yep. All right. So let's see what is going on. Let's have a look at that game between Bavik and Krishna, as the board really is on fire there.
All right, yes, let's take a look. It definitely is such an odd position. Sometimes you see positions like this and are like, how exactly did that happen? But it almost reminds me of like these awful Dragendorf positions I used to get where I would just not castle, go this king f8 move and just hope my pawn would reach the end. But I do like the attack, but right now it seems like maybe the attack has been stopped because there's no real pawn pushes that don't weaken their structure. Meanwhile, White is attacking on the queen side.
And White's also taking this bishop on f4, so I guess Black has to play bishop to e5. I don't see an alternative. So when you have one move, just play it and hope for the best. Then White's either going to take on d6 or push c6, and maybe what Black can try is to move queen e3. Because if Black can get the queen to g3, things would get pretty scary for White. But I guess after, let's say, c6, queen e3, something like queen b3 feels like a pretty good defense to make sure that you can always trade off the queens.
Yeah.
Wait, look at
yes,
Bobby.
That
he
makes
was
sense.
a little stressed there. He was like tapping his own head.
I'm wondering if maybe there's even a threat with queen e1 eventually if the rook moves, which is probably why you want to move your queen back to b3 and not, let's say, like rook f3. Because you do have that nice passed pawn, even though it's being stopped currently.
Right, so let's see what Bavik is going to do. Right, so c6 on the board. Okay, queen e3, queen b3. Still looks safe for White. I wonder what the follow-up there should be for Black.
Yeah, okay, queen b3. You don't want to trade queens, so maybe you could just move your... yeah, maybe there is really no good follow-up. That might be the best option, although... I don't know. You really want to continue the attack, but maybe that just would be the best you've got.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Yeah, like, again, you would love to get that queen on the diagonal. Okay, queen a3, the computer does not like that one. But I wonder why not. I mean, it looks like a completely normal move to me. Queen e2. Maybe queen f3. But I'm really confused.
There might have been a tactic there, maybe.
The computer thought black should just trade and go bishop c3 to defend the pawn. Interesting, but queen e2 instead was played. But maybe now black can go like queen b4 and round up the pawn on d2.
Yeah, I don't blame him for not finding. That's one of those computer moves where they're like, okay, you're down material, but you can draw with this pass pawn. And those are always hard to play practically because it's like, you know, best play. But yeah, he can just keep going for the trade, and eventually it will get really uncomfortable for black to keep declining the trade. They're going to have to move their queen over to the Netherlands.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, like you said, if he wants to keep the queen on the board, like queen b5, but then you lose this. So I like queen f3 a lot, especially from a practical perspective. So Bavik is down on time. He's got 48 seconds, but on the board, things are looking really good for him.
Yeah, definitely. Do we want to check out Bird's Eye View?
Yeah, let's go to Bird's Eye View to see what's happening in the other games. All of the games are in full swing. It looks like Kai is about to finish things off. He's up the exchange. Now rook b8. Black is forced to give up the rook. So that's completely over. Bavik is doing pretty well for UCLA. And then the other boards are looking pretty even. But I would definitely give the advantage to Eric Zhang against Ashton. And yeah, the game between Sharvesh and Shawat can go either way, I feel like.
I feel like that game's very sharp, that last game. Because it looks like you have a great attack. At first glance, it looks like black should be completely winning, if I'm being honest. But then maybe the attack isn't as good as it is, because that bishop on f1 kind of does everything it needs to do.
The bishop on f1 defends the g2, the knight on e1 defends g2 once more. So not easy to break through there. And knight f3. Black is up the exchange, but white has a pretty nice knight on d5, and white also has a pawn, so still a lot of work to be done here for Sharvesh. But it would be great for Sharvesh if he can finish the match off with a win, because unfortunately for him, he was a little bit late. We don't know what happened. He was winning in round number 3. A win there would have maybe given them some chances going into the final round, but he lost that one. And yeah, so let's hope for him he can finish on a high note.
Yeah, let's hope he can finish on a high note. It is tough. He didn't have his warm-up rounds. A lot of people, their first rounds are warm-ups. But, you know, it is what it is, and it seems like he's doing very, very well here. How exactly do you finish it off? Takes, you're so happy here. I mean, yeah, this looks pretty solid for him. Unfazed, unbothered.
Yeah. No, definitely a blunder there by Sharvesh, hanging the knight. The queen cannot be taken, instead would put the king in check. So I expect a win here for Sharvesh. He's now up a full rook. Wait, and Sharvesh is like, I'm up a rook, you know, that's enough. Wait, take on d1? White's sacrificing everything here.
For what?
I guess he wants to take on d6, threaten checkmate over here, but that shouldn't be enough to finish it off.
Yeah, that feels like it shouldn't really work. Maybe you can even go like bishop g5 or something.
Well, the move I like after queen e6 is rook a6, because you attack the queen, you defend this, and after queen c5, you also have rook g2. Take, rook g6, and white's getting checkmated after all. So just take the
really nice. That's really nice.
Thinking.
His camera went dead. I hope it's not... Well, he might just be calculating it all. Oh, that works too. Taking with check. I didn't even see that.
All right, okay. Also looks pretty good. Yeah, now he can go queen d7 if he wants to defend everything. Let's see if that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, it feels like he should...
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say everything should be winning.
Maybe you could even go like, yeah, queen f3. They can't really defend. But yeah, this is just perfectly fine. You're up so much material. You're happy. And it looks like you'll take home the win.
I think you will. Yeah. 6 seconds for white. He's down a rook, completely losing. Check. Check looks pretty good. Yep. And then everything. Check. Check with f3. Yeah, f3 check.
Yeah, I guess he has so many wins, it really doesn't matter. And where do you go? It's going to be mate. And you take with check. and all the pieces are coming after you. And we see his win. I think that was pretty important for him too. He had a good position last game, wasn't able to convert. So at least ending on a win for him there. And this might be the last game.
Yeah, this is the last game of the match. UCLA has already won. I think they're at 9.5 points. But yeah, so the match is over. Black is going to get the win here, though. Krishna up a queen for a rook, and he's got this a-pawn that is just pushing down the board. He can take over here. Bavik is trying to fight on, but it's just way too much material that he's down.
Yeah, it's funny. You can just like trade the queen for the rook, and you're so happy. That's one of the worst positions. And now we see the win going to Illinois there. A pretty good round, actually, for Illinois.
Yeah, nice rounds for Illinois. They lose with 9.5 to 6.5, so a respectable score in the end. It's just a pity for them that Charvet showed up a little bit too late, as when he showed up, the match was already looking tough. And also, when he played in round number 3, he lost that game that he actually should have won.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate there. I mean, they could have had their comeback, but then again, it is tough with all those points. We still don't know, even if they tied it up, if they'd be able to come back. But I think just Illinois starting out like that was hard for them. However, they did really, really well this round. Their board 1 has managed to come back with 2 out of 4 points after a rough start. UCLA's board 1 out of 4. Eric, 2.5 out of 4. Ashton, 2 out of 4. Krishna, 1 out of 4. Bavik, 3.5 out of 4, great performance from him. Sharvesh, 1 out of 4, and Shashwath, 3 out of 4. So, I mean, all these players have been doing so well.
Wow, so Illinois actually swept the last round, so it was good for UCLA that they won the match before that final round. But I think in the end, missing one player for 2 rounds was just a little bit too much for them to overcome. But still impressive that they managed to make it close in the end.
I know. I mean, it might also be a little painful, but they just did so well. Do you have a game you want to show us?
Absolutely, yeah. So let's have a look at this game from the final round between Eric Zhang and Ashton. So Black had just captured a pawn on a3, and now White took the knight on f6. And I think here, Black made a mistake. I think Black should have taken with the queen, keeping the king safe, but instead Black took with the pawn. And now, maybe objectively this is okay, but the king is always going to be exposed here on the g8 square. So White played knight at d4, hitting the rook, and also having the intention to jump to the f5 square. So rook b2, we saw a trade, and here Black should have taken with the bishop, and instead Black took with the rook. Now came queen c8, queen here, and queen to c7. Right, bishop b4 and knight f5. And this knight on f5 is just such a beast. Like, it creates so many checkmating patterns around the Black king. It's just really hard to deal with this for Black, especially as the clock is ticking down. So king h8 was played, rook to c1, bringing another piece into the game. Rook d2, h4, excellent move, creating some loop for the White king, making sure there are never any back rank problems. And now queen g3, and here it looks really tough for Black, as rook c8 is a massive threat. The rook can never be taken, as queen g7 would be checkmate. I don't see defense here for Black, and neither did Ashton. He played bishop to d6, but White just took it with the queen. And the problem for Black is that he simply cannot take the queen due to rook c8 and checkmate. So great win there for Eric. He played overall a good match, but unfortunately for him and his team, it was not enough for them to stop UCLA from winning this match.
Yeah, that was a great game. Thank you so much for the game review. Really appreciate it. I want to talk about something kind of interesting. The regular season is coming to an end soon, and you know what that means. The CCL Predictions Challenge presented by Susquehanna is about to begin. This Wednesday, November 13th, brackets will go live on Challenge.com. Be sure to cast your votes for which schools will take home the title in up to 28 different divisions. Each bracket winner will walk away with a 6-month Chess.com Diamond membership. Entries must be submitted by November 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Use !predict in chat and keep your eyes on the news section for when the brackets drop. Terms and conditions may apply. Good luck. It'll be fun. We'll see who wins that. Also, we have something kind of interesting coming up, Ben. We're going to have an interview with Ashton. So, guys, if you want to put your questions in chat, let us know what we should ask him. Do you have your questions, Ben?
I'll think of some great questions, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. We will be back with an interview with UCLA board number 2 right after this break.
Give me Honestly, don't go and do that, please.
You do whatever you like.
We can't condone anything of the sort.
No, we can't live!
The goal is get you to a comfortable spot in those first 10 opening moves and just have you hitting that gas. That's all, folks. Thanks so much for checking out my E4 course here on Chessable. I do hope you enjoy. I got introduced to chess because my family is, obviously both my mom and dad's side is from former Soviet Union, and it's kind of part of the culture there. So I was playing with my grandfather when I was about 5, and I think what attracted me when I was younger is I just got the game. I got the game probably on the level how most modern-day grandmasters got the game. I could see something once and I could just go demolish adults, kids. And for most talented players, that's how it is for a long time. They just obsess over the game. I hate to compare it to art, but in many ways it is. I find it fascinating. Every day I can teach myself something. Played it for 20 years, and there's still so much I don't know. I can play blitz games, and I can make Masterpiece or Chaos with white, with black. What a time to be alive, because I still have insecure chess teacher syndrome from 2019 when I was just going to private lessons, and nobody knew who I was, and I still remember those days. And I very easily just think about them, and I'm completely the same guy. I just happen to do it on camera now. Last World Championship, I was looking at 5 streams at the same time, getting all the information, trying to understand the position more, keeping in mind what I'm gonna say in the recap a couple hours later, who said what. That's the stuff that I really get excited by, just knowing that it was a good recording, it was funny, I presented everything I want to present. That stuff, I guess, is like a cycle that gets me more energy. I really enjoy making a high-quality piece of content. It is very natural for me to do the presenting. I'm not fake at all. I think that's one of the reasons I can stream and stay sane. But sometimes even I'm exhausted, and after I record a video, I have more energy, which doesn't make sense. I feel good about the current career. I don't spend a huge amount of time being introspective about the current career. I'm just working as hard as possible. With me, it's just me and the camera, which is even, I don't know, I would even argue it's more weird that it's just me in a room. From 2020 until now, I'm still just some dude who likes to talk about chess, and I just so happen to do it in an exciting way for a lot of people. And obviously, my confidence has grown in presenting and knowing that what I put out will get watched, which is, you don't have that guarantee when you start. It's very nice, and it's not something I take lightly, but at the end of the day, if you really break it down, I'm just a dude who talks about chess. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I've taken an approach in this course where I will happily enter the main lines of certain openings for the first 5 or 10 moves before deviating into something that's aggressive, interesting, and will definitely make people uncomfortable.
Hello, welcome back to Collegiate Chess League. I'm your host, Jules. This is my co-host, Ben. We're happy to be here, and we have a special guest with us. We're going to be interviewing Board 2 at UCLA, Ashton. We're really happy to have him here. Hi, Ashton. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you for having me. It's cool to be on here. One of the things I've kind of like been dreaming about as a kid. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, that's so cool. We wanted to ask you a few questions. First, I wanted to start out with by asking, I know you played back-to-back matches. Have you ever done that before? Was it difficult for you? Easy?
No, I haven't ever done it before. It was usually fine though. Like as a chess player, I mean, we all know like all of us have had 4 or 5 hour over the board games. So playing like 2 hours consecutively on a weekend online with like a 30-minute break in between is not really a problem. Although given some of the mistakes I made in the second match, I would love to use that, the back-to-back as an excuse for that. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Right, but Ashton, you also played some great games, and I was really impressed with your game against the London system. Was that prep up until a certain point, or tell us maybe a little bit more about that game, because that was a really nice one.
Yeah, so this is one of the lines I know quite well because I have played it from both white and black. I have a good friend, Andrew Tane, who many of you may know, and we've actually talked about this line a lot and discussed it a lot. So pretty much like I think objectively it's equalish and white's up a piece, but obviously their king is under a lot of pressure. But in a blitz game, especially when it's so hard to like know all of the lines, it feels very hard for white to play. So yeah, I think once I got like my rook to the c file and the pin on his king with the knight, it was just very difficult for my opponent to defend. So that was a game I was proud of, but definitely like had a lot of preparation for that. I've kind of like known about this line for 6 years. So yeah, I can thank prep for that win and Andrew as well.
That's awesome. It's great to have some friends hanging out. You have a question from Chatter. They want me to ask why you didn't go to the Roland's Rapid tournament. They thought they'd see you there yesterday.
Oh yeah. So I've been at most of the club tournaments this quarter, but because it's Veterans Day weekend, I went home to visit some family. So this is the first like club tournament I've missed. So sorry for not being there. Yeah.
All right, and Ashton, so this is the first time we have you here on our broadcast. Maybe you can tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself. What year are you in college? What is your major? Yeah, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a third year stats major. I have been playing chess for about 9 years. I'm originally from Minnesota, so that's kind of how I know Andrew. He's probably Minnesota's best player outside of Wesley, if you count him. Yeah, I achieved the national master title when I was 14. Since then, unfortunately, my improvement, we can say, has plateaued. But I enjoy playing chess, and like, definitely when you're in college, it's harder to play as actively. And I think, if you really want to pursue it, you kind of have to take it full time or like do more at least than I do. But it's really fun to play in this league. It's like good practice to like keep yourself in shape. And whenever you do go back and play tournaments, like this league is, you get to play against a lot of good players. This year we're in Division 2, so it's like slightly at a lower level, but in prior years when we were in Division 1, you're just like playing against like, one Saturday you're playing against a Wander, and the next Saturday you're playing against like Theodoro, and it's really cool to play against, some of the world's best collegiate players. So yeah.
It's a cool experience. How do you and the team stay close? Do you guys do activities together, or is it mainly just like a once a week chess thing?
Yeah, kind of. It's more of like, you see each other at the club, and like especially the players on our team. I think something I really like about this UCLA team we have is we're very well rounded. Like today, I would say I had not my best day, but it was really easy for my teammates to pick me up because I think on our team there's no international master, there's obviously no grandmaster. We're all at like a somewhat similar level. So 1 week, I might go 4 out of 4, and another week I might go like 1 out of 4, but all of us are capable of kind of carrying the load for a certain week. So that's nice. But yeah, as teammates, it's kind of just like we all respect, I think people who know what it takes to be good at chess, you respect like others who also, achieve good things, like whether it be the master title or even the expert title or whatever tournaments you may have won. there's always a level of respect there for other chess players. So that's how I would say we stay close.
All right, that's great to hear. And Ashton, do you guys as a team plan to play on more tournaments? Are you guys planning to play the Pan Ams, for example, or do you guys have any other tournaments planned?
Yeah, I think this is a year that we're going to the Pan Ams, which should be really fun. I think the last 2 years we tried to get something organized, but we didn't end up going. But this year we should be going. So that alone, other than that, don't think there's anything on the schedule. But sometimes there will be like a South SoCal tournament, like between schools, and we'll go to that. So Pan Ams is the big one, but some small tournaments here and there maybe.
Well, good luck in those tournaments and good luck in the rest of the playoffs. I'm sure you guys will do great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's always great to hear from people part of the team. I think it's one of the most fun parts of being the commentators. But you know what? We have next week's matches for you here. We're going to go into the playoffs. This was the last game of the regular season, Ben. Can you believe it?
Yes, this was already the last season. So we have some very exciting matches next week. SRM has a bye. UT Rio Grande has a bye. Mizzou plays Yale. Oh, all right, apparently they still have to play. Oh, no, wait, that's the quarterfinals. My bad. Yeah, so Mizzou versus Yale and then SLU versus Athens. I feel like Mizzou should definitely be the favorite there. SLU should also be the favorite against Athens. And yeah, again, I think then Mizzou, SLU, UT, Rio Grande Valley, and SRM, those are going to be the big dogs fighting it out in the semifinals.
Well, I'm so excited to see playoffs. I think we're going to have a lot of great matches. And I still don't know who's going to come out on top, so we will see that. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. And we will see you next week, CCL, for playoffs.